The North Division standings in the Big 12. Boomer Schooner ready to rock and roll. Nebraska and Colorado tied atop the division at 4-0. They have a showdown coming up later this month, a game you'll see on ABC. Meanwhile, in the South, Oklahoma and Texas tied for second at 2-2. The Sooners still with a shot at winning the South Division. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Mark Jones, along with John Spagnola. This is the 77th meeting between these two teams. And, John, for a squad that's just won 2 games, a lot of excitement here in Norman.
That's exactly right. Well, you know, Mark, it usually takes about half a season for a new head coach and his football team to get acclimated to one another. In the case of Oklahoma, this is especially true. I mean, this team played horribly in the first half of the season. But ever since their watershed victory against Texas at midseason, hey, they're a respectable 2-1 in their last 3 games. Now, for Nebraska, the defining moment occurred early in the season in their loss to Arizona State. But since that loss, they've outscored their opponents by a combined 240-29. Now, I was on the field before today's game, and I couldn't help but notice how much bigger and more athletic the Cornhuskers are than the Sooners. But with John Blake as the head coach here and everybody believing in him, the Sooner program is definitely headed in the right direction.
John Blake has a lot of people believing, including his players. We'll be back in just a minute. Welcome back to Norman, Oklahoma, where John Blake has turned pessimism into optimism. And for more, Lewis Johnson.
Mark, thanks, and welcome down to the sideline. Hey, have you ever wondered what the coach of a 2-5 team tells his players before they come out on the field to meet the number 5 team in the nation? Well, just a few moments ago, we had some comments from John Blake, the Oklahoma coach, in the locker room, as he tried to get his troops fired up to come out and meet the 2-time defending national champions.
I've asked you one thing to do, guys. Believe in each other. Believe in the coaches who've done it all year long. Come out victorious. Feed off each other, man. And you guys know. You guys know just the same thing. And I don't care what the odds are. The odds big enough to overcome Jesus Christ. You guys know. You guys know. Ask him to give you the strength to do the best you can. Doesn't mean you win the football game. Ask him the strength to give you the power to go out, stay focused, and give you 60 minutes of football.
A poignant pregame speech from John Blake. Set for the kickoff, Nebraska won the toss. They deferred. Oklahoma will receive. And this is Chris Brown with the kickoff for the Cornhuskers. He squibs it down to the 7-yard line. Darrell Jackson still on his feet. Jackson out to the 28-yard line. John Blake, the first-year head coach for the Oklahoma Sooners, a guy that participated in this Nebraska series as a player and now as the head coach. Meanwhile, his counterpart across the sideline is the very cagey, very cunning and wise Tom Osborne. Coach of the Nebraska Cornhuskers said that this Oklahoma team is a very dangerous team, although they've won just twice this season. They've had a good week of preparation. First down and 10 for Oklahoma. Fuente sacked on the first play of the game back at the 22-yard line by Jason Peter, who had a sack last week and who's playing with a cast on that arm. And a look at the starting quarterback for Oklahoma, Justin Fuente, completing 49% of his passes, just 3 of 9 a week ago before being pulled, John.
That's right. He was sick in the game. He had the flu. He didn't play all that well, and I know he wants to get off to a good start here today. He's the only freshman starting quarterback in the Big 12.
Fuente with a very strong arm. Second down. Here's the counter. A loss of about 3 on that play. James Allen, number 25, tackled by Jared Tomich. As we look at the Chili's backs and receivers, James Allen has been a different player since that Texas victory.
Yeah, he has 397 yards in his last 3 games.
And a look at the offensive line that he'll be running behind.
And this line is not off to a very good start so far in today's game. Bruce McClure, the best player in that front 5.
Third down and 21 for the quick-tempoed Oklahoma offense. Fuente to pass, almost sacked, passes it incomplete. And a very, very convincing series defensively for the Nebraska defense. And a look at the black shirt front 7.
Yeah, and they sacked him on the first play and knocked him down on the second pass attempt today.
And a look at the defensive backfield, one of the better ones in the conference, led by Eric Stokes, number 16, the 5'11 senior.
Nebraska's number 21, David Bunning.
Punting is number 82, Brian Lewis, who gets off a nice high spiraling punt back at the 37-yard line. And the Cornhuskers will start off with very auspicious field beginning after that 11-yard return. And there's a look at the starting quarterback for Nebraska, Scott Frost, who last week 12 of 16. Osborne says he had his best week ever at Nebraska last week.
He looks a lot more comfortable now. Each week he seems to gain more and more confidence running this football team.
After that 36-yard punt, Nebraska has the ball at the 48-yard line. It's Scott Frost, a transfer from Stanford University. On first down to Amon Green. Green, the sophomore, 6 feet, 215 pounds. As we look at the Chili's backs and receivers, Brian Schuster, the lead blocker on those ISOs they like to run.
Yeah, he's a guy who doesn't carry the ball much, but those tailbacks need Brian Schuster to open holes for him.
And one of the best offensive lines in college football, John.
And Adam True doesn't get a whole lot of attention because there's so many other good players, but he's a good athletic left tackle, playing very well this year.
Second down. They hand it off again to Green, who was brought down just over Oklahoma side of midfield at the 49 by Travian Smith. Smith, number 36, and Tyrell Peters, number 45, a guy who runs a 4.5 40. Good speed and strength.
3 straight years he's been leading that team in tackles, too.
Mike Woods seizing the starting position for Oklahoma on the corner just last game.
Just a true freshman. You think he's a little nervous today, starting his first game?
Third down and 8 for Nebraska on their opening series. Cross the pass, and it's incomplete. A catchable ball that was dropped by Amon Green out of the backfield. And Frost had that happen to him a couple of times last week as well. It'll be time for the Cornhuskers to punt.
Absolutely. I mean, he certainly cannot fault Scott Frost. He threw that ball right on the numbers of Amon Green, and he really juggled the thing and almost got it to a point where it could have been intercepted because he bobbled it so much.
Green there talking with quarterback coach Turner Gill, a former great at Nebraska. Jesse Cush into punt. He's standing on his own 37-yard line. This season, Cush has 13 punts inside the 20-yard line. Oklahoma brings a little pressure, and Jackson fields it at the 11. Jackson brought down at the 14-yard line. Jackson, a dangerous punt returner, but just returned that one for 3 yards after the 38-yard punt. We're just underway in Norman. Stick around. The Big 12 conference standings taking shape by the moment. Nebraska leading the North Division as we look at the game scheduled this afternoon. Kansas trying to bounce back from their loss last week.
And Texas got his 4 players back. It was announced this morning anyway that that whole scandal with the lunch and everything else, those players will be able to play in that football game.
And James Allen stopped up on first down by Terrell Farley, number 43, the All-American candidate who missed a couple of games earlier this season. This series has been an extremely competitive one throughout the ages. Only 5.3 points separate the two. That's the average margin of victory in the last 10 meetings. Nebraska has won the last 5 in a row. And Fuente steps up to the line of scrimmage and calls a timeout. On their first series, they lost 11 yards. They lost 1 on that last down. We'll be right back. Jeep, makers of the new award-winning Jeep Grand Cherokee. Valvoline, the #1 choice of America's top mechanics. People who know use Valvoline. Discus Athletic Activewear. Discus Athletic, one thing to wear for every sport. And Chili's Grill and Bar, home of the Big Mouth Burgers. A look at the campus here in Norman, Oklahoma. Second down and 11 for the hometown Sooners. Zeros on the scoreboard. Fuente overthrows his intended receiver, number 6, Michael McDaniel, and it'll be third down and 11 for the Sooners. On their first series, they lost 11 yards. Not an auspicious beginning.
Boy, Fuente's getting hit every time he attempts to pass.
Now look at the top 25 today. Nebraska, number 5 in the Bulls. 3rd and long. This is James Allen out to the 20-yard line. And it'll be 1-2-3 punt for the Sooners offense again. That is the number 2 rushing defense in the country on the field in Nebraska.
Yeah, they only give up 61 yards a game, but what's been more impressive today is the pressure they're exerting in the passing game, Mark.
Special teams has been a problem for Oklahoma all year. This time they get the punt off. Another high kick comes down to the 40. Williams. And there's flags down at the 41-yard line. A 41-yard punt and 12 on the return. The tackle made by Travian Smith.
Yeah, there wasn't enough room given to the punt return on this play. You can see some contact. You can't have that in the official. You can see reaching for his flag on that play. So another mistake by Oklahoma, maybe not getting a punt block. They've had their share of that this year, but a mistake in coverage downfield.
A look at our Big 12 officiating crew this afternoon. Tom Allers from Urbandale, Iowa. The man with the white hat and the call now.
Contact foul, interference with an opportunity for a fair catch. 5 yards from the end of the run.
And the fans are booing.
I guess they saw it differently.
Yeah, nothing could be more clear-cut than that penalty right there. And they're booing here. Oh, you got to love the hometown fans.
A look at some of the sellout crowd here at Memorial Stadium, a game that has been highly anticipated and debated for a number of weeks. It always is when it's Oklahoma, Nebraska. Think about some of the great names that have played in this game throughout the ages. That's a Billy Sims, Johnny Rogers, the game of the century back in the 70s. Ball on the 44-yard line, 1st and 10 for the Cornhuskers out of the eye. The toss. Brought down right at the line of scrimmage is Amon Green.
And there's more of the top 25, the second 10. Northwestern and Penn State, number 11 and number 15 in a key matchup later on today.
Boy, Northwestern still getting some great breaks, huh?
Yeah, they know how to win the close ones, that's for sure.
2nd down and 10 out of the eye. Play fake. Frost has a man open downfield and he barely overthrows him. Vershawn Jackson, number 34, had a touchdown had Frost not overthrown him. That's a play that they started off with last week for a completion against Kansas, a game that really helped Frost with his confidence.
That's exactly right. It was a 41-yard completion, his first completion of the game to Vershawn Jackson. But that, you know, there's so many people loaded up against the run that it's very easy to find people wide open down the field. Scott Frost just knows he threw that a little bit too far, frustrated with himself.
3rd down and long. Frost back to the air again and incomplete.
And I think there you get an idea of, in a known passing situation, Nebraska is a lot less effective than when they work off of play action. But 2 good defensive stands by Oklahoma, and both times Nebraska had very good starting field position.
Frost now 0 of 3 on the day. Look at the quarterback from Wood River, Nebraska. Transfer from Stanford. Jesse Cushion to punt now, standing on his own 40, and Jarrell Jackson back deep for the Sooners. He's standing on his own 10. Jackson played a big part in Oklahoma's turnaround this season, returning a punt for a touchdown against Texas. And here he calls for the fair catch of the 13-yard line. A 32-yard punt and nothing on the return. Well, tomorrow night on ABC, the wait is finally over. One of the movie's classic films, Disney's The Lion King, comes to ABC tomorrow night at 7, 6 Central Time. Then ABC's double feature continues with the world premiere of To Brave Alaska, starring Alyssa Milano. 4 great hours at the movies tomorrow night right here on ABC. I love The Lion King. Huh? Simba's something else. James Earl Jones, one of the great voices, yep. And now Damon Parker in. And Damon Parker getting the same kind of reception that James Allen got. Mike Minter making the stop.
Stop was made by number 10, Mike Minter. Take up a 2 yards to the 15-yard line.
There's a look at Winder, the offensive coordinator for the Oklahoma Sooners. Came over from Texas Tech. Damon Parker stopped up at the 15-yard line by Jason Peter and number 98, Grant Wistrom. Wistrom from Webb City, Missouri, 6'5", 250-pound junior. Has 7.5 sacks to lead the team. Wistrom and Jared Tomich, two tremendously talented bookends playing on the end for Nebraska. 3rd and long, Fuente to pass, and he's sacked back at the 11-yard line by Tomich. So if one doesn't get you, the other one usually does. Tomich had a sack last week, now has 4 on the season, and it's time to punt. He's one of 4 team captains on that black shirt team.
And he was just named as one of 4 of the finalists for the Lombardi Award. That was just announced earlier this week. So Jared Tomich, it looks like everybody in that defensive line's taking turns, taking shots at Justin Fuente.
Lewis punting out of his end zone. Chevin Williams, and it bounces off an Oklahoma player's helmet.
No, guys, I
don't think that can happen. That's not in the rule book.
But you know what? If you're ever in doubt, take the football and run in the end zone. Let them sort it out later. That's what Arizona State did in overtime against USC, and it worked for them.
One more look. Mo Little, poing. That's using your head, right? Love those cerebral players. We'll be right back. Oklahoma laid a real turkey on that day. I don't know.
That turkey better hide. Get out of there.
It's getting close.
Yeah. Don't go out in the clearing. It's getting close.
Green and Schuster out of the eye. This is Amon Green, who is rocked at the 50-yard line. Number 92, Baron Tanner, made the convincing stop. And let's go downstairs to Lewis Johnson.
Mark, thanks. Just a bit of a follow-up regarding these two teams playing each other. They are scheduled to take a 2-year hiatus because of this new Big 12. You know, they've been playing since 1928. But if they can work it out, they'd love to keep this big, great shootout going on, maybe in a non-conference format. Mark?
Be a nice thing to see. The Big 12 causing some changes in this rivalry. One consistent thing, though, tough sledding up the middle. Number 93, Martin Chase and Baron Tanner making the tackle that time for the Sooner defense. It'll be 3rd down and long for the Cornhuskers. Green now has rushed 5 times today for a total of just 2 yards. Very uncharacteristic for Amon Green, and not staggering totals by any stretch of the imagination for either side. 3rd and 10. Play fake by Frost. Under pressure. Sacked back at the 45-yard line by Travian Smith. And the Sooner defense is up to the challenge so far. One thing for certain, John, they're not intimidated by Nebraska.
Not at all. They felt that they matched up pretty well defensively with Nebraska's offense. On the other side of the football, they realized they have some problems today. You see, the play-action fake on 3rd and long does not necessarily help Nebraska's offense. Scott Frost has to turn his back downfield. Now he has to locate receivers, and it just gives the defensive lineman more of an opportunity to get headed upfield. I am not a big fan of play-action on 3rd and long.
Cush gets his punt off with the wind at his back, sending Jackson back, and this one travels into the end zone. Oklahoma will get the ball on its own 20-yard line. A 55-yard punt, and nothing on the return. Neither team able to mount much offense so far in this, the 77th meeting between these two teams.
You know, all of this football game, though, is being played in Oklahoma's side of the football field. Nebraska's enjoyed good field position at around midfield. Oklahoma's working deep in their end zone. You know, this is where turnovers and a lot of things in the field position work can really hurt you as a football team.
Here's the counter. James Allen with nowhere to go. Now cuts it back. He's got an alley. James Allen out to the 31-yard line, and the first down of the ball game by either team. An 11-yard pickup. Jay Foreman making the stop for Nebraska. James Allen out of Wynwood, Oklahoma, told me yesterday at practice he has a lot of people watching him here at the game today.
James Allen's been playing so well. This defense is so fast for Nebraska. They over-pursue strong side, and Allen has the smarts to take it back on the other side of the football field and make the best gain today for Oklahoma.
They try to set up the flanker screen, John, to Jackson that time. Wisely overthrown by Fuente, who is now 0 of 3 on the afternoon.
I don't know if Jarrell Jackson ever got his hands up for that screen. I mean, it seemed like it whistled over his head before he wasn't even ready, but that's a hard pass to throw against bump and run. Let's get an idea. See the bump and run up top by the Nebraska defenders. It's hard to throw this kind of plays against bump and run cornerbacks.
They send a man in motion and they run it. This is James Allen again. The burgeoning talent from Wynwood, Oklahoma, out near the 38-yard line, tackled by Jay Foreman. Allen came out of high school as perhaps the premier running back. Really hadn't had the type of career that most people expected. But here in the middle of his senior season, he's recapturing some of that form that brought him that lofty status. 3rd down and 3 for Oklahoma. Fuente to pass. Has time this time. And it's incomplete at the 40-yard line, intended for his trusty tight end, Steven Alexander.
Boy, but Eric Stokes, the free safety, was stride for stride with Alexander running down the football field. Really not much of an area for Fuente to throw that football.
Fuente looks a lot better than he did a week ago when he was pulled early in the ball game. Brian Lewis into punt. He's standing on his own 23. Chevin Williams, one of 3 men back deep for Nebraska. This punt gets a very fortuitous roll. And brought down at the 30-yard line is Octavius McFarland after a 5-yard return on that 37-yard punt.
Hey, and the Sooners got it right. They didn't tackle the guy too soon. It didn't hit anybody on the head.
What do you know?
That's progress. But at least they have Nebraska now backed up on their own 30. This is the worst field position so far today for the Cornhuskers.
2 tight end formation, 2 wideouts, and a single back set for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Out of their ace formation. They run the counter tray. Nothing happening on that play. Kelly Gregg, number 97, ran it down from the backside on Amon Green.
Well, you know, Kelly Gregg is playing on raw courage today. He has a very badly injured shoulder. His coaches said they didn't even expect him to play. Here he is making a couple of big plays early in this football game. Former state wrestling champ, has great leverage, not really good in rushing the passer, but he plays the run especially well.
They've rushed it 6 times for -1 yard. Cross on the flanker screen, incomplete and almost picked off that time. This is a swarming crimson and cream defense for Oklahoma today.
You know, that's a play that was very effective last week against Kansas for Nebraska. Brendan Holbein scored a couple of touchdowns on that type of play. Oklahoma's doing a very good job scouting this football team and its tendencies.
John, Scott Frost is 0 for 4 so far today. Part of Oklahoma's defensive strategy, of course, being shut down everyone else and make Scott Frost beat you.
Keep in mind, Amon Green dropped that first pass, and his confidence gets going early if he can get some early completions.
3rd and 13 out of the backfield. Here's his first completion, but it'll be far short of the first down. Amon Green brought down at the 31-yard line by Mike Woods. And if you don't think this crowd loves it, have a look and have a listen.
Well, the good news is you stop Nebraska's offense. The bad news is you got to go against their defense now. And it has been tough going so far for the Sooners.
Cush punting. His 4th punt already. I think he punted just twice last week. High snap, but he gets it down. They bring pressure and barely get it off. Jackson back at the 19, and he fumbles it. And Jackson will be down at the 8-yard line. Tackled by Brendan Holbein, the starting wideout for Nebraska. 51-yard punt, -8 on the return.
I'll tell you, Jesse Cush does a great job at getting this, changing and accelerating his motion to get that ball off. He realized the rush was on. He realized when he jumped in the air, that takes another half a second or so. A lot of punters just go to their same routine and their same 2 or 3 step kick. He did a great job of getting rid of that football.
Justin Fuente back in the ball game at quarterback. .316 remaining in the first period. 0s on the scoreboard. Allen and Chandler working out of the offset eye. Oklahoma with 1 first down to date. Allen running between the tackles, falls forward to the 14-yard line. Tackled by number 43, Terrell Farley. Well, the best seat in the house today is inside the Bud 1 airship. There's a look at it. Flying overhead to bring us these beautiful shots. Panoramic view of Memorial Stadium.
I'm wondering who's higher up, the Bud blimp or us?
I think
we're looking down on the blimp.
Well, we can reach up and give them a high five. They run it up the middle this time, and it's the fullback, number 32, Dwayne Chandler, who has about 2 or 3 on the play. Tackled by 44, John Hess of Nebraska. It'll be 3rd down and about 7 to go. Oklahoma deep in its own territory, looking to snap a 5-game losing streak against Nebraska.
And this is the tough situations, the known situations that Dick Winder wanted to keep this offense out of.
Approaching 2 minutes to play in this, the first quarter. Very fast-paced first quarter. Allen open out of the backfield, has to make a man miss. He made the first guy miss. Problem was there were 2 more behind him. And Oklahoma comes up short again to the first down. Terrell Farley with his 2nd tackle of the afternoon, along with Jamel Williams. And Oklahoma will have to punt.
Yeah, there's just so much speed on this defense. Terrell Farley and Jamel Williams are 2 guys who could very probably play safeties in the NFL. They have that much speed. So certainly when they get one-on-one in the flat with the back, they usually come up with the play.
Lewis now, John, with his 5th punt in this, the first quarter. A low line drive, shanked. Let's see where they mark this one. Somewhere in the vicinity of the 45-yard line. So Nebraska will start off again with good field position. It's been the story of the afternoon for the Cornhuskers, but they have yet to put any points on the board. A look at the first half possession so far for Nebraska. They've started off on the 49, 44, and 49, and this time in Oklahoma territory. 1:20 remaining in the first quarter. Backs out of the eye. Amon Green running over the left side over Dishman and Adam True. And Green is stopped up after a gain of about 2. Oklahoma with 6 national championships. Might be a while before they get their next one, but John Blake at least has the program on the right track. And he has a lot of support from President Bourne. 2nd down and 9. Frost on the out pattern, complete near the first down marker to number 25, John Vedral, the former walk-on.
Scott Frost completes the pass to number 25.
And we'll have to see where they mark this.
You know, part of the reason this play was successful is Scott Frost is able to get outside of the pocket. The reason for that is, look right here, Travian Smith takes an inside track. He needs to stay outside and contain. Watch how he takes an inside course And Schuster does a nice job of forcing him back inside. The fullback keeps him inside. That gives Frost the opportunity to see a clear throwing lane and throw the football.
Frost doesn't have the picture-perfect throwing motion, but he got it there that time.
And it's serviceable for this offense. He's better off throwing off of play action than he is dropping back.
They give it to the fullback, number 28, Schuster, who is going absolutely nowhere on that play. Number 97 again, Kelly Gregg. Coaches call him the ultimate yes sir, no business, no frills, Happy Meal guy.
And Notre Dame beats Navy 54-27. They doubled them in Dublin.
Well, the first 15 minutes of play is in the books. Defensive coordinator Bill Young's team holding up so good so far. Zeros on the board in Norman. We'll be right back. All right, John, Michigan, looking pretty good so far. Right here, 0-0 as we wait for the beginning of the second quarter of play. Nebraska has the ball on Oklahoma's 35-yard line. It's second down and 11. Damon Benning now seeing his first action of the day in a tailback. Holbein in motion. Under pressure, Frost wisely, astutely throws it away. And it'll be third down and 11 and a late flag down. The official indicating maybe grounding.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And Scott Frost, of course, pointing out to him where his intended receiver was. Keep in mind, there's a difference between the NFL. If you're outside of the pocket in the NFL and you throw the ball away, there's no flag for grounding. In college, there is, if you throw the football away. Now, there's a side judge downfield. He's talking to the referee, and they're talking about where the football went in relation to the intended receiver. But Oklahoma does an excellent job right there. Looks like he's going Brendan Holbein, number 5. Now, that's certainly an intended receiver. But the ball was thrown in a way that it was thrown out of bounds.
Disregarded. There's the receiver in the area.
Certainly a good call by the official.
A good no call. Isn't that what they say?
Sure.
Yeah. You know, one thing's for sure, though. I'm impressed with Oklahoma and the job Bill Young is doing. There's Tom Osborne. I mean, this is a very poor pass defense. It's ranked 108 in the country in pass defense efficiency. Bill Young knows this, and oddly enough, Nebraska's a better chance of winning this football game through the air. But right now they're playing some pretty good pass defense and keeping Scott Frost contained.
Well, those corners going to get tested now with 4 wideouts on the option. Frost keeps it and pays a dear price. Brought down at the 40-yard line by Rod Manuel, number 85. Boy, this Sooner defense is reading its keys extremely well today.
Well, Nebraska likes to run the option out of their spread formation, and they go to it right here. But again, boy, too much penetration, and Rod Manuel having himself a very good football game so far. Senior 6'5", 272. You know, he looks like a great football player, and they'd like to see him play to his ability. And certainly today, he's playing a lot better than he has so far this year.
Yeah, coach is saying that he has to become a better pass rusher. Got good pressure on the quarterback that time on the run. Cush trying to hang this one inside the 20. And Jackson calls for the fair catch at the 7-yard line. Oklahoma once again pinned deep in its own territory after that 32-yard punt. And folks, you see the press box there. That's where we are.
We were looking way down on that punt. You know, I would have liked to see Jarrell Jackson let that ball, see if it would go into the end zone, even though it was a high floater. The general rule is field it outside of your 10-yard line. That ball had a chance of hitting and skipping into the end zone. And it also had a chance of getting down, but if you're on the 7 or the 3, there's not a whole lot of difference. If you can get out to the 20, it's a big difference.
A lot of times you'll see those spirals bounce in the same direction. Damon Parker gets the handoff on 1st and 10. Parker lucky to get back to the line of scrimmage. Parker, the 5'10", 181-pound redshirt freshman, stopped up by Ogert and Peter that time. He's from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Former high school sprinter. Quiet and reserve type. Has legitimate breakaway speed. Runs a 4.440. His breakout game was 243 yards rushing against San Diego State earlier in the year. Just underway here in the second quarter. Fuente hands it off to Parker again, who runs over the left side of the line, gets near the 10, brought down at the 9-yard line.
You know, you're seeing right now that the offensive line is just overmatched right now by that defensive line for the Cornhuskers. They are so good, they're so strong and so quick, and they love to get the upfield penetration. This is a team that puts a lot of pressure on an offense. Now, Texas Tech, a couple of weeks ago, had some success running inside, and of course, this offense with Dick Winder running it is very similar to what Texas Tech did, but you can see third down conversions. Well, Nebraska's 0 for 5. Oklahoma hasn't had a whole lot of success either.
Oklahoma, John, facing 3rd down and 7. They need to get to the 17-yard line. Fuente to pass, has time, and overthrows his intended receiver, number 8, Brandon Daniels. He was covered closely by Michael Booker, number 20, in Oklahoma. The popular refrain repeated over and over so far today, we'll have to punt.
You know, we better take a look at that NCAA record book and see what the record is for combined punts in a football game, because I think we're on a fast track for that record.
Oklahoma's 6th in the afternoon coming up, John. Brian Lewis's leg will be tired when this one is going if this trend keeps up. Chevin Williams, Octavius McFarland, and Damon Benning back deep. This will be Benning who lets it bounce out of bounds at the 40-yard line. A 50-yard punt. A look at the engines of the Boomer Schooner. Zeros when we come back. Where the score is 0-0 between Nebraska and Oklahoma. Nebraska with more auspicious field beginning and position so far today, but they haven't been able to cash in. Both teams punting a lot, frequently. A total of 11 punts so far today.
That's a game's worth of punts, and we still have 12 and a half minutes left in the second quarter.
2 tights and 2 wides, a single back set for Scott Frost, who fires incomplete for Vershawn Jackson, number 34. A catchable ball again. An update from New York with John Saunders.
Mark, hard to believe. Miami, though, is struggling against Temple. Henry Burris, 31 yards to Troy Kersey for the touchdown. Second TD pass for Burris in the game. The first given up by Miami's defense this year. It's tied at 14 apiece. Mark.
John, back here, 2nd down and 10 on the option. That's Damon Benning to the short side of the field, cuts it up. And he's brought down by Terry White, the strong safety who made the tackle on the play. Damon Benning is at the top of his game right now. He was bothered earlier this season by some ankle injuries, but he's starting to round into form.
Well, he sure is. How about that punt return against Texas? Was that Texas Tech? I mean, that was a ball that should not have even been caught. Not only did he field it, but he had a 51-yard punt return to set up a touchdown at the 5-yard line. What a great play that was.
He's pretty explosive. 3rd down and 6 for Frost. Passing. On the out pattern, incomplete for John Vedral. Folks, if you like punts, we got a whole bunch of them for you today. Nebraska will have to do it again.
Yeah, Scott Frost had John Vedral wide open in that play, and he clearly missed him. He was upset about it. But Nebraska not able to take advantage of some opportunities here. Dropping passes, not hitting open receivers. And here he's got a Vedral wide open. He just, doesn't quite step enough and get that football out there. You have to rotate those hips out to the outside and deliver that ball. He didn't seem to quite do that.
Cush gets the punt off, bounces at the 30. Here's Jackson. Did he get it back? Nebraska says they have it. Let's wait for the official indication.
You see Big Adam True, number 77. He's always the first one down there. The center, left tackle, is the long snapper.
Jackson fielded that one very carelessly. The officials say Nebraska ball.
Adam True, number 77. Watch him. He's the snapper. Does a good job. He never gets blocked because nobody thinks a guy 305 pounds can run. Watch him hustle down there. There he is, the first guy. Jackson does not use good judgment. He wasn't in front of the football. It was bouncing away from his body, and he saw the recovery. And he's also got a future as a referee.
Chad Kelsey made the football, recovered the football, and Nebraska has been very opportunistic this year, scoring 84 points off of turnovers. 1st and 10 at the 17-yard line. Oklahoma 17. That's the freshman, D'Angelo Evans, who runs it inside the 15 down to the 13-yard line. Evans out of Wichita, Kansas. Rushed for over 100 yards in 2 consecutive games earlier this year.
You know, he's a true freshman. He only played 6 games in his senior season in high school, but he was so good, everybody was knocking down his door to get him to come to their school. And he went out of state, always wanted to play for Nebraska.
He was booed lustily at Kansas State.
He sure was.
Second down and 6. Evans again down to the 12-yard line, tackled by Tyrell Peters, number 45. Peters from Norman, Oklahoma. Well, tonight on ABC, see the luminaries of the pro figure skating world in sparkling performances. Former world champs Kristi Yamaguchi, Katarina Witt, Dorothy Hamill, and Kurt Browning highlight the competition. Don't miss the dramatic conclusion of the U.S. Pro Figure Skating Championships as tonight at 8, 7 Central Time here on ABC. Right now it's 3rd down and 4 for Nebraska. Vedral in motion. Frost on the option, gets to the perimeter where he makes something happen. Frost has the first down at the Oklahoma 3-yard line where he's tackled by Ghana Joseph. Frost made some very good decision-making, John, on that play.
Yeah, and the inside fake really holds that Oklahoma defense and allows Frost to get outside. He's got the speed. He's one of the faster 10-yard runners on this team, believe it or not. He's not as fast as everybody else in the 40, but he's about 5th in the team in a 10-yard sprint.
Here's Evans, tripped up at the 8-yard line. Number 84, Dale Allen, making the stop. Deep in the Nebraska backfield. Allen, the 6'2", 208-pound sophomore.
And he's starting today because Broderick Simpson has been hurt. Did not practice all week. Again, Dale Allen, number 84, at the top of your screen. Comes knifing through, fights off the block of Schuster, and does a real good job of playing off the block and getting the tackle on Evans.
Double tight end formation. Frost on the option, and the Sooners are option sound. Baron Tanner with the stop, all the way back at the 13-yard line. Defensive coordinator Bill Young for Oklahoma said they would have to be option sound, and they have been on the last 2 plays especially.
Yeah, they are. Nebraska likes to run the option out of every formation, so you have to be aware of what you're doing defensively. But Baron Tanner, without hesitation, by Bill Young, the defensive coordinator, told us Baron Tanner is playing the best of everybody in that defensive line. Watch him come right through and make the hit on Scott Frost.
First and goal. Evans stopped up at the 8-yard line. Well, even if Oklahoma's defense gives up just 3 points on this sequence, it'll be considered a minor victory. Travian Smith made the tackle that time.
Bill Young came to this team this year when John Blake was named the head coach. He was the offensive coordinator at Ohio State for 8 years. We asked him, why would you leave Ohio State and come here? He goes, I'm from here. I always wanted to be here. I want to finish here in the Oklahoma area, and I love coaching here. His team's doing a great job so far.
Here's Chris Brown's field goal attempt from 25 yards out. And he knocks it through the pipes. But as I mentioned moments ago, a moral victory of sorts for the Oklahoma Sooner defense. Brown now 9 of 13 on the year. The Cornhuskers lead it 3-0 when we return.
On this play, Rodney Rideau comes off the edge here, doesn't get really bumped by Brian Schuster. Watch right at the end of this play. That ankle's down. Rideau's head hits right on that ankle, just turns it enough. But Brown looks like he's in pain. He limped off the field. And Osborne is not very happy about that because Rideau was not blocked into the kicker.
But apparently, still okay. Brown in to kick off.
Put a little bit of that miracle cream on that ankle. He's looking a lot better.
He might be a thespian, huh? Although I'm not doubting that it may have hurt. Here's Jackson on the return. Jackson, who fumbled the punt moments ago to set up the field goal for Nebraska. Jackson returns it out to the 20. Nebraska leading 3-0, but that night might not be such a good thing, as the winning team has come back to win 24 of the last 30 games. John Blake says he coaches through compassion. That's how he gets through to his kids and his student athletes.
Yeah, he's not the X's and O's guy here. I mean, he's got some qualified staff to coach on the field, but he watches over all of his players.
James Allen brought down at the 20-yard line, flag down at the 15. Jason Peter, number 55, making the tackle. And it'll be a hold against the Sooners. They are having a difficult time running the ball against Nebraska.
Well, you know, when you have a football team that has trouble making 10 yards, to try and make 20 yards is unbelievably difficult. Look at first down yardage. 6 rushes, 1 pass, 0.7 yards. At the beginning of this drive, the Sooners only had 22 yards in total offense. And they're going backwards again.
The Nebraska defense, John, likes to limit teams on first down. Here's the call.
On the offense, half the distance from the start of the foul, repeat first down.
Now, if half the distance is on the 8-yard line, 7-yard line, that means the hold occurred on the 14-yard line in the backfield, because it's from the point of the infraction.
4 wide receiver set. And they hand it off to Allen, who finds a crease out to the 13-yard line. So many things have to happen for Oklahoma to be successful against Nebraska. And here's what the head coach had to say about those things.
I think it's going to be a game to where we cannot allow this team to get ahead of us because they're so good. They're very strong and fast on defense. Their offense is a clock-running offense. They can run timeout by just running the football. And they're a much better football team than Oklahoma. But again, these kids believe. So whatever the outcome may be, we'll continue to fight the game for 60 minutes.
2nd and 17. Allen makes the catch, but he's brought down immediately at the 17-yard line. John Blake, you just heard his comments. He said that this Nebraska squad is the most awesome team that he has seen. Well, it's not easy. I mean, it's easy to be impressed by the Cornhuskers.
Sure, especially defensively. I mean, offensively, they've done a good job in games this year, but the defense, in a lot of ways, sets up the offense with creating turnovers and just wearing down another team. The amount of time that your defense has to spend on the field, because this defense from Nebraska loves to go 3 and out.
Right now, 3rd and long for the Sooners. Quick 3-step drop, picked off, and what an interception that was. Number 56, Jay Foreman, looked like a wide receiver on that interception. From Eden Prairie, Minnesota, the son of the former NFL running back Chuck Foreman, Jay Foreman makes the pick.
Everybody remembers Chuck Foreman with the Vikings. Watch the nice job he does dropping back. Alexander was in position. Boy, the ball's behind him, and he picked it off with one hand. What an athletic maneuver by Jay Foreman.
He looked like Houdini.
There he is right there. Hold it a second. I'm sorry. There you go. Look at that. I mean, he dropped deep, and another turnover here now by Oklahoma.
And the give is to the fullback on 1st and 10. Number 45, Joel Makovica, takes it inside the 10 down to the 7-yard line. A 12-yard pickup and one of the few Nebraska first downs this afternoon. Makovica had a brother, Jeff, who played for the national champs last year. And it's 1st down and goal with 6:05 remaining in the first half. Nebraska got a field goal out of the last Oklahoma turnover. See if they can capitalize here. Frost at the 2, complete. Fumble. And Oklahoma has gotten it back. They may have gotten it back, but we're waiting for the ruling from the officials.
Oh, and it looks like they're having a discussion over this one. They may call the play down.
They're talking it over. Still no official ruling. Vershawn Jackson made the catch, number 34, and it's going to stay Nebraska ball. And Blake is hot.
Jackson came underneath. There was a receiver at the end of the field. There's number 34 on the top of your screen, the left side. Now watch him catch the ball, work upfield. He gets hit by White. See if that ball is clearly coming out, and it was recovered then by Dale Allen, number 84.
All for naught because D'Angelo Evans makes it a Nebraska touchdown. But the fans still upset about that last call. One more look at that non-fumble call.
Again, Vershawn Jackson turns upfield. He's having a little trouble with the football right now. White comes in, strips it out. His knee's not down, his arm's not down, nothing's down. I mean, that's clearly a fumble. And then Dale Allen, 84, beats him to the football, and you can see him recover it. So definitely the Cornhuskers get a big break there, and the Sooner faithful are not all that happy about that play.
And the second time today that Oklahoma has turned it over and Nebraska has converted.
Dead ball, offside, on the defense, have the distance to the goal, with PTM time down.
Chris Brown, whose ankle apparently okay, will kick the extra point. Out of the hold of John Vedra. And the Nebraska Cornhuskers lead 10-0. Being showered by a chorus of boos are the officials. We'll be right back. College football on ABC Sports brought to you by Pontiac and your local Pontiac dealer. We are driving excitement. And U.S. Navy, let the journey begin. Well, the journey to the end zone was a short one for Nebraska after that Oklahoma turnover.
That's 94 points off of turnovers this year for Nebraska.
Chris Brown kicking off. Allen on the return at the 14-yard line. But a controversial call just moments ago, John.
Well, it was a bad call. I'll tell you why, because it's not only a fumble, it's an incompletion. Watch Vershawn Jackson and watch his hands, watch the football. He never really has control of this football. Look, he's still fumbling, still trying to get a handle on it. White comes in and strips it away. At the very most, that should have been an incomplete pass. And here's the play by D'Angelo Evans going right up and over afterwards. So Nebraska taking advantage of that opportunity there.
And right now, Eric Moore is the number one. The new quarterback for the Sooners hands it off to Devon Parker, who's brought down at the 13-yard line. But let me tell you something about Eric Moore and his skill level. Last week against Kansas State, he came in late in the ball game, actually was fairly early, was 11 of 23 for 234 yards and threw 4 touchdown passes.
Yeah, he played very well in that game last week. Justin Fuente had a flu. He wasn't playing real well. Keep in mind, Eric Moore was a starter all last year.
Here he is on the waggle. And they hand it off. Well, now there's a late flag.
Well, there was a flag that stopped the play. And then the fans here thought that Eric Moore was hit late and that there should have been a personal foul, dead ball foul.
Dead ball, false start on the offense, 5 yards.
But that's the only dead ball foul they're going to get here. But, you know, the one thing about Eric Moore is that he's a lot more mobile than Justin Fuente, and he may be able to do some things outside of the pocket.
The official disappearing from sight.
That's the old trap door trick. Where'd he go?
I bet you the Sooner fans would like to see one of the officials go through the
trap. Like to do with all the officials right now.
Under 5 minutes to play in the first half. It's 2nd and 15. Moore on the quarterback draw. And the hole closed up extremely quick.
Yeah,
Brought down at the 4, Jared Tomich.
Boy, oh boy, they're just taking times, aren't they? I mean, they are playing so well up front. There's what you talked about, Mark. 234 yards passing, 4 TDs. Most of those occurred in the 4th quarter. And a furious comeback by this football team. They had a chance to tie that game against Kansas State, but Eric Moore was picked off by Chris Canty with 95 seconds left in that game.
Chris Canty's victimized a lot of quarterbacks this year. 0 for 7 on 3rd down conversions for Oklahoma today. They run the quick hitter to the fullback, finding no room at the 5-yard line. Dwayne Chandler stopped up for a gain of maybe 1.
You know, this is what I talked about when we first talked about this team today, the difference in size and speed and athleticism from top to bottom. John Blake has got to fill his shelf. Dick Winder giving his offensive lineman a piece of his mind. But he's got to go out and recruit and get the kind of players in here where he can start to fill in and get some depth and talent, and then weight train these guys and get them to where the Nebraska Cornhuskers are.
Out of his own end zone, Brian Lewis with the end-over-end punt. 45-yard line, that's Williams. And Williams brings it back to the 35. 39-yard punt and 10 on the return. Folks, coming up next is a clash in the Big Ten when number 11 Northwestern meets number 15 Penn State. USC hosts Washington. Maryland tries to tame Clemson, and Baylor tangles with Texas. Check your local listings for the game on your ABC station, and the game's available from your cable operator. 3:29 to play in the first half. 12 total punts today. Nebraska leads it 10-0. They have the ball on Oklahoma's 35-yard line. Amon Green, the lone back. Play fake by Frost, downfield. Finds the seam nicely, complete to John Vedral at the 16-yard line. Vedral was bothered earlier this season by a pinched nerve in his neck. That slowed him down, but he picked up 19 yards and a first down on that reception.
That was a well-executed play. Scott Frost did a nice job at getting that football into Vedral. He was well covered, but off the play action, Frost saw the one-on-one coverage, threw the football to the right player, and did a great job of putting it where it had to be caught.
First and 10, John, from the 17-yard line. 4 wide receivers. They run the option out of that set. And the Sooner defense has played its assignments well on the option. Broderick Simpson, number 51, made the tackle on Amon Green.
And here's a guy who didn't practice all week. He was scratched from the starting lineup, and there's Simpson in there making plays. So Kelly Gregg, who's banged up, you can see that right shoulder. See that area where it's taped there? That's keeping that shoulder in place. Broderick Simpson, Kelly Gregg, a bunch of guys playing banged up here. But, hey, it's Nebraska. You got to play.
When you look at number 51, Simpson, gives you an example of how John Blake disciplines his players. Simpson missed the team bus against Tulsa a few weeks ago, and Blake sat him out, didn't dress him.
Well, you're still beating him up over that. Come on, leave him alone. 8 rushes, 1 yard for Amon Green. Not a great day, you know. Last couple of games he's had to leave. He had that turf toe injury against Kansas State, and I don't think he's quite fully recovered from it. That's an injury that can linger with you for quite a while.
2:56 on the clock.
They're going to rewind the clock a little bit. Two of the best teams in the ACC square off as Darrell Bush and the second-ranked defense of Florida State try to stop the running game of C.J. Williams and Georgia Tech. Florida State and Georgia Tech live tonight at 7 Eastern, only on ESPN. Our cousins, part of the Disney family. Kissing cousins, I guess. 2:50 remaining in the first half, second down and 9. A look at the countenance and the concentration of Amon Green. On the freeze option, Frost finds Vedral again, and it's ruled complete at the 4-yard line. Wow, Frost dropped it in there nicely to Vedral for a pickup of 12 yards. Victimized was Anthony Fogel, providing coverage for Oklahoma. And it's first down and goal for Nebraska.
You know, the nice thing about this play is Nebraska changed it. Look, they go to a running formation, a powerhouse outfield, backfield, 2 tight ends. They show option, and then they go into the pass play. This is what they can really do well out of the passing game because they rush for 300 yards a game. That sets up these kind of plays. Again, another nice job of executing that play by Scott Frost.
He's now 6 of 13 to Green on the corner on the pitch, and he takes it to the house. Touchdown, Nebraska, but wait, there's a flag down on the play at the 5-yard line. So hold on, let's wait and see.
Well, when you play a football game in somebody's territory.
Offside on the defense. Decline. Touchdown.
So the touchdown stands, much to the chagrin and disbelief of John Blake.
And as I say, when you play the game continuously in somebody else's end of the field, the mistakes, the turnovers, and the fact that you're not moving the football offensively, you just start to see that the Sooners are getting worn down, not only physically, but mentally in this football game.
Yeah, John, they work with a short field, too, which makes it much easier. Nebraska now leading 17-0. We're going to take a break and check in now with John Saunders. All right, John, back here, 17-0. Nebraska leading Oklahoma. Look at the last touchdown run by Amon Green.
Well, last time they got in a formation like this and they threw the football, the Oklahoma defense is set back a little bit, and now they execute the option to the short side of the field with the efficiency that everybody's been accustomed to seeing here at Nebraska. You know, the average starting position has been the Oklahoma 44-yard line for all of Nebraska's drives here in the first half. And again, 35 yards in 4 plays. Not far to go to score a touchdown.
Scott Frost right there on your screen received some pivotal advice last week from his head coach, Tom Osborne, who told the quarterback, Scott, you're a little too uptight. I want you to go out there, relax, and just play football. And on the heels of that advice, Frost had his best day ever as a Nebraska quarterback. And by the way, Tom Osborne has been suffering from laryngitis, so the players haven't heard much from him this week. But their game is speaking loud and clear. They lead 17-0. Brandon Daniels brought down at the 13-yard line on that kickoff. Well, the Budweiser blimp, and it's eye in the sky. There's a look camera. Proud to provide you with these live shots 1,000 feet above Owen Field. And we're about 990 feet above Owen Field.
Well, you know, Oklahoma's playing true to form so far. Every game so far this year, they've fallen behind early. They either lost those games or they've mounted furious comebacks in the second half. And again in the first half today, they have not played very good football.
Eric Moore, John, in on his second series. James Allen brought down, calling for a face mask. And there's the flag, albeit a late one, at the 20-yard line. Terrell Farley made the tackle, and he points to himself and says, my bad, it's on me. No doubt a face mask. Farley, the former Baptist candidate. The officials still discussing this one.
Yeah, I guess the discussion is, as you mentioned, is it incidental or is it a personal foul 15 yards?
Personal foul, face mask, on the defense, 15 yards from the previous spot.
Terrell Farley, there he is, number 43. You see him come in with that right hand. He just grabs on the face mask Allen. And this is why it's the personal foul. He pulls him down, even though he lets go right at the very end. That was enough to warrant a 15-yard penalty. I'll tell you, Farley is just, what a football player he is. The speed, the quickness. I mean, he just gets all over the field.
A real mogul on special teams, too.
Oh, yeah.
Charlie McBride, the defensive coordinator, John, calls Farley the best player at that position he's ever seen. In fact, he says of Farley that when Farley blitzes, he blitzes so hard that the skin from his eyeballs peels back. Can't say I've ever had that happen to me.
Oh, stop it right there. Yeah, you got another face mask here on Chandler. He gets away with one, the fullback. So I think the referees are looking more to the other face mask right there on the ball carrier, and they didn't see that by the lead blocker, Chandler. So, hey, Oklahoma gets away with one.
Just their second first down of the ball game via the penalty. At this pace, you take them any way you can get them. Sacked again on the run is James Allen. Mike Rucker, number 84, with the tackle for loss on that play. He's second on the team with 6.5 sacks. Again, an example of that Nebraska speed defensively.
And an example of their depth. He's second on the team in sacks, and he's not even a starter on this front four.
Only a sophomore, too. 1:25 to play now in the first half. 2nd and 13 for the Sooners. Moore, with his first pass attempt, overthrows his intended receiver, Michael McDaniel. And it's 3rd and long.
And I think there's a guy they have to manage to get the football to. Michael McDaniel played very well against Chris Canty last week. He had 124 yards in receptions. Over 100 of that was in the fourth quarter. Now, Canty's an All-American and a very good cornerback. They played a lot of bump and run coverage. That's what Nebraska does defensively. That's a little bump and run coverage right there, too. But I think McDaniel, if they can get the time, he's a guy they have to get the football to.
McDaniel, a guy whose career has come alive under John Blake. Over the middle, incomplete, intended for Gerald Williams, who was open on the play, but who was short of the first down. Mike Minter, number 10, put the wood on him. And Oklahoma will punt.
Yeah, and Eric Moore would like to have that one back. He had a player open, a chance to make a play, and he overthrew that football in the middle of the field.
Moore is a licensed minister. Maybe needing a little divine intervention in this game.
Yeah, maybe Winder's telling him he should have been deeper on that play. That might have been the receiver's fault, as is often the case when a ball is thrown awry.
Oklahoma punting, and Lewis gets off a great one. Driving Williams back to the 23. Chevin Williams brought down at the 30-yard line, a 53-yard punt, 7 on the return. We're going to take a break, but let's check out some other programming on ABC. That's Damon Benning running between the tackles, gain maybe 2 yards.
On the tackle.
You know, Mark, you were talking about Scott Frost and the fact that Tom Osborne had spoken to him and how it soothed his nerves a little bit. I like what he said earlier in the year, too, when he took over this football team. He said, you know, people don't follow other people because of titles. He said, I've got to earn the respect of my teammates. I have to show courage, and then they'll follow me. And I think as this season has progressed, his play has gradually improved, and this team is rallying around him, and there's no question he's the leader now.
And speaking of Scott Frost, boy, there's action abound here. A rugby game. They gotta get that scrum going a little better.
What's this guy doing here? It looks like it's ballet. What is that? Rugby players don't stretch.
Warm up, but they don't wear any pads either.
These guys are posing for a statue there. What is, you know what, rugby was the sport, the forerunner of football. I mean, football has its origins in this sport here, but I don't know if any football player did those kind of things.
And that, of course, just next to Owen Field in Memorial Stadium. John Blake might want to go recruit some of those guys.
Rugby's a great sport. It's just an excuse to get together, drink afterwards, and sing songs, isn't it?
Yeah, but I want to keep my ears on my head. I don't want them ripped off. There are too many horror stories about that in that sport. Out of the shotgun. A play they like to run. Benning gets the handoff. And he's met at the 31-yard line by a slew of tacklers for Oklahoma. Gregg and Tanner among them. It'll be 3rd and long now for Nebraska. Probably looking just to burn the clock and take a 17-0 lead into the locker room at halftime. I'm Mark Jones along with John Spagnola and Lewis Johnson. Nebraska leads Oklahoma 17-0, and this is the 77th meeting between these two teams. A series that has been continuous since 1928. Oklahoma trying to snap a 5-game losing streak against their foes from Lincoln. On the draw, Benning finds a hole and has the first down at the 43-yard line with 6 seconds to go. They stopped the clock after the 11-yard pickup. Broderick Simpson made the tackle for the Sooners. This sold-out crowd of over 70,000, extremely quiet. And there's the Boz, one of the greats here at Oklahoma who used to play. A little smaller these days.
He doesn't have that hairdo he used to have either. What was that, a mohawk cut or whatever?
Called it the Boz.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, named it after himself.
Why not?
When you're good, you can do that kind of thing. Frost incomplete to end the first half of action. Tom Osborne and his crew leaving the field leading 17-0 after 30 minutes of play. Valvoline halftime is next.
Right now for a second. I mean, if you look at this, you can say Oklahoma's doing a great job. 6 first downs for Nebraska, only 2.2 yards on first down. But look at the other side, only 0.4 yards on first down for Oklahoma, 2 first downs. And of course, the turnovers led to 10 points. And that is where this football game is right now. a totally dominating performance by the Black Shirts.
Oklahoma kicking off, and Damon Benning of Nebraska lets it go through his arms and out of the end zone. They'll start at the 20. Lewis Johnson spoke with John Blake just moments ago.
Coach, the controversial play, the controversial call by the official midway through the second quarter, did that psychologically affect your team?
No, it didn't. I won't allow that to happen. I know that's something we've kind of dealt with all year long, some tough calls against us, and we can't let that happen. We got another 30 minutes of football to go play. We've got to get some offense going. They're too good of an offensive team and defense team to stay in this game too long.
All right, Coach Blake, thank you.
All right, the nose of the ball on the 20 for Nebraska. They run the counter. This is Damon Benning. Benning moves the pile forward over the 25, near the 26-yard line. Gain of about 5 on first down. Terry White, number 13, the strong safety, making the tackle.
You know, that interview with Blake certainly is insightful, isn't it? I mean, they ought to nickname No Excuse Blake, because he's in a lot of football games this year. This team has had some bad officiating go against it, but there's no way in the world he's going to relent to that and allow his team to use that as an excuse. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, we saw that a couple of weeks ago when they defeated Texas. 2nd down and 4 for Nebraska. It's Benning again. And Benning is over the 30 and has a first down where he's tackled by Baron Tanner. It'll be 1st and 10 for Nebraska.
Now there's Benning with the turf toe. Again, it's been the second quarter the last 2 weeks, and now it's in the third quarter. And when that injury gets aggravated, he has no power. There's a lot of pain in that toe, and he can't push off on his foot at all. So that's going to linger with him through the rest of the year, it appears.
And D'Angelo Evans is in the game. He gets the play fake. Frost up top has a man, and it's dropped. Vershawn Jackson, who was the center of that controversial call in the first half, dropped the pass. Ghana Joseph on the coverage for Oklahoma.
Yeah, and Ghana Joseph was beaten badly on that play. Again, the Sooner defense has to overload against the run, but he's beaten. He's able to recover. Well, watch the effect that the play action had. Look how everybody is playing run. Now, all of a sudden, see Ghana Joseph coming back. There's 34. There's Joseph, number 29. All he gets his hand in there and seems to tip the ball away. But it didn't look like Jackson had his hands in very good position to make the play.
And run the counter throw. D'Angelo Evans brought down short of the first down at the 33-yard line. Tackled by Chris Justice, number 40 for Oklahoma. Evans, the freshman, now in the ball game. He's the 3rd string tailback, but then again, 3rd string at Nebraska. You know, it's 1st string somewhere else. Gains 3. It's 3rd down and 7. Carpenter, the tight end, number 90, sets up to the right. Motion on the left side of that offensive line. Sheldon Jackson, number 88, may have jumped offside.
You know, it's interesting with Sheldon Jackson. He's a guy.
False start on the offense. 5 yards. Repeat 3rd down.
He's a guy, Mark, I'm surprised they're not trying to get the football to more. I mean, he has a lot of speed. He reminds me almost of a young Keith Jackson. Maybe it's because of the number or whatever, but he can really get downfield. Now they're getting the ball to Vershawn Jackson. I'd like to see him take a couple shots at him once in a while.
Yeah, you look at his build, 6'4", 250, and his speed, as you mentioned, almost a Johnny Mitchell type, too, a guy that played here at Nebraska not too long ago. 3rd down and 12. And look at what Nebraska's doing in 3rd down conversions, over 10 yards. Frost trying to change it, and it's picked off by Terry White. So the Sooners have their first takeaway of the ball game. We said they're a second-half team, and they may have awakened.
Well, that's incredible. That's only the 3rd interception this year for the Sooner defense. That's one of the reasons why this team is ranked so low in pass efficiency defense.
The much-maligned secondary, John, coming up with a theft.
Yeah, the blitz came in, and Frost was able to escape outside. Now, he's got pretty good vision downfield. Throws the ball, but it's a little bit behind the receiver, and a good break on the football by Terry White.
Eric Moore in at quarterback in relief of Fuente. Here's James Allen. flag down on the play. Allen down at the 38-yard line. It's Oklahoma's first time in Nebraska territory all day. The Sooners have recorded 9 turnovers this season. 20 have been recorded each year since 1960, at least 20.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll get to that magic 20 number. It's been a long time.
Holding on the offense, 10 yards from the spot of the foul. Repeat first down.
I mean, this is a team that ranks 101st in the country out of 111 teams in turnovers. So they don't get them very often. And I think, you know, part of what Scott Frost is hearing right now is because of that pressure, he had to wait a little bit longer before he threw the football. And that's one of the things that hurt him in the timing and rhythm of that play.
Futile passing by both Oklahoma quarterbacks so far today.
Only 8 yards in passing offense. I mean, that's dominance defensively.
Well, they weren't in Nebraska's side of the field long. Moore completes it, though. Down to the 40-yard line, his trusty, sure-handed tight end, Steven Alexander, who picks up 12 yards before being brought down by Mike Minter. The Management Information Systems major makes the catch.
One thing about Eric Moore, he has very good quick feet, a good release, very compact. He takes a good shot afterwards. John Hess coming through there.
John at just 178 pounds. I'm not sure that I want Eric Moore taking too much contact back there. Now look at Alexander from Chickasha, Oklahoma, where he played for the Chicks in high school. That's right, that's what they were called, the Chicks. James Allen on the counter. Allen steps out of bounds. Not sure he stepped out after or before the first down. Eric Stokes, the free safety, pushed him out.
Boy, Allen is running with so much more confidence, isn't he, on this football? I mean, up to the Texas game, he had 170 yards in rushing this year. Since then, he has 397 yards in his last 3 games, only 2.3 today. And here's a guy who was really a victim of all the hype coming out of high school. Everybody expected him to simply be the next Heisman Trophy winner here at Oklahoma. It just didn't happen for him.
3rd and 2. Allen has the first down. Still on his feet and brought down to the 28-yard line. James Allen and his teammates on the sidelines coming to life. Jamel Williams made the tackle.
Just good old basic power football. Sammy Williams, 75. Steven Alexander, the tight end, all getting a good surge up front. Alexander comes off and gets another block downfield. And that's one of the ways to attack this Cornhusker defense, is to go right at it. You try and do some tricky things and misdirection stuff. They have so much speed, sideline to sideline. They are very difficult to attack that way.
John, that was Oklahoma's first 3rd down conversion of the ball game. Allen stops on a dime, dives forward to the 25-yard line, where he's brought down by Grant Wistrom.
And that's some of the confidence you see. I mean, that was a nifty move in the backfield to escape Jason Peter, the brother of Christian.
James Allen, not only a very elusive runner, John, but a very good receiver out of the backfield, too. A very vital part of this Oklahoma offense. 2nd down and 6. Twins to the left of Moore. They run it to Allen. And Allen gets back to the line of scrimmage, maybe gained a yard. There'll be 3rd down, about 6 to go for Oklahoma. Jeff Ogard, number 97, making the tackle. Panoramic view of Memorial Stadium and Owen Field here in Norman, Oklahoma, on an incredibly sunny and clear day, albeit cool and breezy. Some of the games right there in the Big 12 today. 3rd and 6. Moore on the slant, and he's picked off. That's the freshman, Ralph Brown, still on his feet. And Brown just might go. He has more to beat. Double deuce is on the loose. Touchdown, Cornhuskers. An 83-yard interception return for a People have tried to pick on that freshman, but he has come up time and again. That's his 3rd interception of the season. From Walnut, California, Ralph Brown. Some people think, or thought, the operative word being, that he was the weak link in that secondary. But he proved otherwise there. Chris Brown now in for the extra point. And that takes a lot of steam out of the Sooner engine. Out of the hold of John Vedral. Brown converts the extra point, and Nebraska leads 24-0. A rookie, a freshman, belying his years. Oklahoma leads. Nebraska leads when we come back. Well, that's tomorrow, but next Saturday at 3:30 Eastern, the Gridiron Greats are on ABC. 11th ranked Northwestern at Iowa, Air Force Army, Washington State, UCLA, Clemson at Virginia, number 16, and A&M against Baylor in the Big 12. Don't forget to call your cable operator for the games available in your area. Look at number 22, Ralph Brown from Walnut, California. One of the skills that you must have, or at least acquire, to play cornerback, you have to have amnesia. Forget when you get burnt. And Brown has done a good job of that this year. People tried going his way early, but he came up with a big interception and a touchdown that time. Brandon Daniels on the return for Oklahoma. And it's a feeding frenzy now for the Cornhusker defense.
I'll take a look at this. The patterns are such that this receiver is supposed to go outside. Mike McDaniel should be flatter in his angle. Now, this is a great job by Ralph Brown, recognizing the play and stepping in front of that angle. And look at McDaniel. He was headed upfield. Now remember, of course, Ralph Brown was a great running back in high school, but he wanted to be a defensive back. But he shows his running back skills of just a year ago as he steps inside. Some great blocking, and everybody is having a good time there. That's 17 points today off of turnovers for Nebraska.
And Eric Moore scrambling. Moore out near the 40-yard line, and a late hit. No doubt that's a late hit. Moore, a very frail 178 pounds, took one out of bounds, and they'll tack some more yardage onto that 29-yard run. Mike Minter came in to make the hit.
See the back judge there on the right side with no hat on his head. He lost a flag and a hat on that play. Now, sometimes they throw the hat down to mark a spot of where something happened. There might be another infraction that he marked with his hat. Then after that, he takes his shirt off. Then he throws his shoes down. He uses all the clothing he can to mark things. But there's Eric Moore. And there's the late hit afterwards as he's clearly out of bounds. And of course, when those kind of things occur on the Oklahoma sidelines, you're going to get a lot more activity and a lot more influence over those officials. Mike Minter comes in and makes the late hit, number 10. A guy who's from this area and enjoys, and for many years as a young kid, played in his mind and with his friends in the Nebraska-Oklahoma game. And he always chose to be on the Nebraska team.
Interesting, huh?
2 years ago, he couldn't play because he was hurt. 4 years ago, he couldn't play here because he was injured, or a redshirt freshman. But now he gets to play for real.
Dead ball foul on the Nebraska.
That must be
ball, personal foul, late hit, 15 yards from the end of the run. Then we have another dead ball, personal foul on Nebraska, an additional 15 yards, first down.
And that's with the back judge. That's why he had his hat down. That was the foul that he identified.
I guess on the second one, that's when you throw the hat, huh?
Yeah, that's Mike Minter there.
Minter from Lawton, Oklahoma, as you just mentioned. For more on the strong safety, downstairs to Lewis Johnson.
Well, guys, Mike Minter's folks have wanted to see him play here for many years. They won't be happy with that one. But he's got about 40 folks in the stands watching him today. This is his first and last chance to live out his dream from a 3-year-old. He wanted to be in this game, and he's out there, and he's gotten a little bit of attention on that play.
Yeah, not the type of attention that he wants, I'm sure. A year ago, he underwent knee surgery. Actually, that was in '94. Missed this game. The ball all the way down to Nebraska's 27-yard line. They blitz. Moore gets it off and has a man open. Incomplete. to the tight end, Steven Alexander.
He might have gotten hurt. You know, he has a bad shoulder. I think it's his right shoulder right there. He may have landed on that as he went for the football. Alexander playing with not a whole lot of use in that right arm. But that was a great throw by Eric Moore.
And he is writhing in pain at the 2-yard line. One more look at that last incompletion. Eric Moore, to his credit, put the ball right where it had to be and paid a price for it, and so did his intended receiver. We'll be right back. Steven Alexander leaving the field. Oh boy, clutching that right shoulder, it looks like.
Man, he is in severe pain. And here's what happened on the play. Oklahoma had something going here. Eric Moore gets crushed, but he gets the football off. Look at Steven Alexander go for it. Watch his right shoulder. Bam! Right on it. And you can see the way his arm is right there, that it hurt immensely.
Lewis Johnson getting an update on the injury for us. Meanwhile, Eric Moore struggling to stay on his feet, brought down at the 27-yard line. Not sure what they wanted to run. Was it a quarterback draw, John?
Yeah, it was. It was, and I think Eric Moore might have been a little bit impatient. He's got to probably set it up a little bit longer, but you know, you got those people running around you. You know, suddenly you're supposed to wait 2 seconds and you go, 1, 2, I'm going. I'm out of here. And again, the stun inside by Peter is what really disrupts that play.
3rd down and 11 as a result. 4 wide receivers set for the Sooners. Moore made a nice move and hand-walked it down to the 23, where he's about 5 yards short of the first down. John Hess made the tackle on the play. And Oklahoma brings in its field goal kicking unit, led by Jeremy Alexander, number 15. Winder with a few words for his quarterback. Alexander in to attempt a field goal from 41 yards out. He is 6 of 10 on the year with a long of 49. And he pushes this one to the left, wide. It's been that type of day for the Oklahoma Sooners. Yet to get on the scoreboard. The Huskers lead when we come back. All right, John, back here in Nebraska, still pitching a shutout. Oklahoma hasn't scored on Nebraska in 8 quarters now, dating back to their last meeting. 8:20 to play in the 3rd quarter. Scott Frost, the quarterback. D'Angelo Evans, the I-back. They give it to the fullback, though. The gain's about 2 yards. That's Brian Schuster, number 28.
Number 28, Brian
Fullerton,
Schuster.
Nebraska.
Tackle made by Rod Manuel.
One of the better blocking fullbacks in the conference. Brought down by Rod Manuel, number 85.
And he's a bright young man. 3.43 GPA. He's an education major. And he gives linebackers an education in one-on-one isolation blocks, that's for sure.
We saw that in the Texas Tech game, didn't we? Fumble. They put it on the ground. Still loose. And it's Oklahoma ball at the 22-yard line. Terry White, number 13, made the fumble recovery.
If there's 2 things that hurts this team this year in their 2 football games, they lost 4 fumbles to Texas Tech, 3 fumbles to Arizona State. Those were games, they lost one and one was pretty close. But there it is, Evans stumbles as he's about to take the handoff as Frost tries to seat the football. He's not able to get it in there. And there's the recovery by Oklahoma.
Oklahoma with 3 turnovers, Nebraska with 2. This is Damon Parker running off tackle. Brought down at the 20-yard line by John Hess, number 44.
Nebraska's made Oklahoma pay for all 3 of those turnovers, 17 points.
That's been the big difference between the 2 teams.
That's right, and there Oklahoma missed the field goal when they had an opportunity to cash in on the interception by Ghana Joseph.
7:16 to play in the 3rd quarter. Bench set by the receivers for Oklahoma. Moore's going to pass. Now he steps up. Flag down. And Moore is brought down at the 17-yard line. Could be in the vicinity of a hold. And Moore comes up limping a little. Ogard and Wister making the tackle for Nebraska. And it's against the Oklahoma Sooners.
Holding on the offense, 10 yards from the spot of the foul. Repeat second down.
Yeah, I think Derek Nelson, it's right here. He gets tied up with the pass rusher on this play. Watch out, at the end of this play, there's a takedown. See right there, he throws down, and even Brian McClure, number 73, the center, could have been charged with holding there. But I think right there, the takedown by Nelson, he was working against Jason Peter. That was the holding call that was called.
As we mentioned, the scoring drought now spanning 8 quarters for the Oklahoma Sooners against Nebraska.
And even beyond that, they haven't scored in double figures in the last 4 games. So points have been hard to come by in this series for the Sooners.
Nebraska blitzing, no grounding call. Moore gets rid of it. And you can hear the smattering of boos. That's coming from the Nebraska fans that have made the trip down to I-35, a 7-hour drive. And they wanted the grounding call, but they don't get it. Moore limping on the field, too.
Yeah, you know, the play was set up, but you have man-to-man coverage, so it's hard to get the screen pass off to a receiver or a back who's in man-to-man coverage. Third down conversions greater than 10 yards. Oklahoma over 6. And, you know, that's the essence of this defense. That's what this Nebraska defense is designed to do. Get you into those known situations, and then they dictate things defensively.
And they come with a blitz, John. Moore scrambling again. Gets it off to Allen, who's out of bounds at the 29-yard line. Short of the first down. 16 yards short. Jason Peter, number 55, pushed him out of bounds.
And I think right here, John Blake may make a decision just to go for it on 4th down. Either that or it's going to be a very long field goal.
Oh, they're sending on the field goal unit. So Blake foregoing the 4th down attempt and kicking the field goal. Alexander missing a field goal not too long ago. This one coming from 46 yards out, with a slight wind at his back. And this one is way wide. He misses the other way this time.
Yeah, he missed the 41-yarder to the right. He compensated, a longer kick, little breeze in his face, and he pulls it to the left. So two missed opportunities now on turnovers for the Sooners.
Yeah, the kicking game and special teams have been the bane of Oklahoma in 1996. Well, tonight on ABC, see the stars of the pro figure skating world in sparkling performances. Former world champions Kristi Yamaguchi, Katarina Witt, Dorothy Hamill, and Kurt Browning highlight the competition. Don't miss the dramatic conclusion to the U.S. Pro Figure Skating Championships. And the romance continues on an all-new episode of Relativity. All tonight at 8, 7 Central right here on ABC. Frost out to the 35-yard line, tripped up by Terry White. Frost, you know, has a very tough job, John, in the respect that so many people in Lincoln and even on his own team expect so much of him. That is a result of replacing a guy that was a starter for his entire career, Tommy Frazier.
Oh, exactly. I think there's an interesting parallel, too, I'd like to draw about him and Tommy Frazier.
Here's Evans, D'Angelo Evans, who fumbled it last time, moves the pile impressively out to the 44-yard line for a Cornhusker first down.
You know, as you said, Scott Frost came on the heels of Tommy Frazier. It reminds me of Danny Cannell coming on the heels of Charlie Ward. Now, Charlie Ward won the Heisman. Tommy Frazier came in second, and many people felt he should have won the Heisman last year. But they both had national championship teams, and it is so hard to be the next guy in line. I mean, the expectation is so high for that position because it has been so productive in the past. And that's, you know, that's a lot of what Scott Frost had to deal with here.
They give it to the fullback this time. That's Schuster. Gains about 2 yards. Frost coming off an impressive game a week ago. There's a look at Schuster. Talked about Schuster, number 28 right there on your screen. His impressive blocking on those ISOs and those lead plays when they give it to the tailback. Last week he was involved, actually a few weeks ago, he was involved in a violent collision
at Texas Tech. Ended up with a stinger in his shoulder. He was still rubbing it yesterday at practice when he was
but the other guy was hurting worse than he was. That's all he cared about.
Run the counter. This is D'Angelo Evans out over midfield. Falls down right at the 50-yard line. Tackled by Martin Chase, 93. A panoramic view from high of Memorial Stadium here in Norman, Oklahoma. This live view is courtesy of the Bud 1 airship, which has been seen by millions on its ongoing Goodwill tour. This Bud's for you. 3rd down and 4 for Nebraska. Backs are out of the eye. Frost on the option, makes the pitch to Evans, puts his hat down, and a display of very, very strong running by D'Angelo Evans. Ran over a would-be tackler to pick up 9 yards in the 1st down.
Well, you know, that's something you don't often see from a true freshman. You get a sense of the power at 5'9", 210 pounds of stature and build, very similar to a guy by the name of Emmitt Smith. Plays a little bit south of here. Look how he just lowers the shoulder, the leg and the arms, and knocks over Mike Woods, another true freshman who doesn't get hit very often like that. These are kids that, you know, right out of high school, and all of a sudden he's got to tackle a guy like that, saying, boy, they run a lot harder here than they did last year in high school.
John, 1st and 10, 4:05 remaining in the 3rd period. They look for the flanker screen. Frost downfield, has a man. Touchdown Huskers. Lance Brown, 41 yards on the strike.
Lance Brown is looking around like he did something wrong. He only had caught 2 passes so far this season, but he did an excellent job. Boy, running down that football, making the catch, and a little bit of gymnastics right at the end of the play, too. There he is, the old flip for the touchdown. Make sure you tuck the head. That's good. Oh, what a great job.
Good dismount
by Lance Brown.
And in comes Chris Brown, no relation, for the extra point. Nebraska silencing the sellout crowd at Memorial Stadium with a 31-0 advantage. And a moment ago, we were talking about the quarterback, number 7 for Nebraska, Scott Frost, and the expectations on the heels of Tommy Frazier. Well, Frost threw a strike right here.
One thing Frost has, though, is look how much room there is between Lance Brown and Anthony Fogle, number 9. That's a lot of area to be able to throw that football in. What I like about that play is the ability of Lance Brown to run that football down. But typically, when Frost throws the football in this offense, that's the kind of cushion his receiver usually has from the defensive back, because defensive backs are so run-oriented.
You have to be so careful when you face that option. And it's so tough when you see that option all the time. You get used, John, I guess, to coming up all the time to support.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you have to make plays. Look at this Cornhusker offense over the 30-point mark. They've been doing it for the last 20 years.
And they've averaged, Nebraska has 30 points per game per season. Since 1977, they have 31 on the board today, with just under 4 minutes to play in the 3rd quarter. Chris Brown getting set to kick off. And look at that last scoring drive. At the 18, Oklahoma out to the 27. Let's kick it back to John Saunders in New York with this update.
Mark, Temple hung with Miami for a little while, but not for long. Ed Guerin-James back to Ryan Clement. He goes 43 yards to Tony Gator on the flea flicker, and the Canes have opened up a 3-touchdown lead. Mark.
Right, that's unfair. He shouldn't be able to do that against Temple. He should have a no trickery rule against Temple.
They turned it around real quickly in that one. Fuente back in at quarterback. It's up in the air, and it's picked off. Fuente, on his first play back in the lineup, is picked off by none other than Oklahoma's own Mike Minter, number 10. It was tipped at the line of scrimmage by Jason Peter. And Mike Minter, with an interception and a clip for the highlight reel,
in front of 40 of his hometown fans.
You think he's reliving the days when he used to run around with burning leaves smelling in the background? Mike Minter is just the only one that gets a track on this football. And he comes in, and Fuente certainly doesn't feel real good about that interception coming off the bench.
And Herbie the Husker is just geeked up about it, isn't he? First and 10. On the end around. Down to the 22-yard line. That's Chevin Williams. Oklahoma being bitten by 4 turnovers today. Nebraska able to convert those into points, too.
Yeah, that's right. 3 out of the 4. Let's see what they do with this one here. But every time they have 17 points off those turnovers, 2 touchdowns and a field goal.
A very unpropitious return for that quarterback right there. Justin Clemente. 3:15 to play in the third quarter. 2nd and 8 for Scott Frost in Nebraska. Last year, Nebraska defeated Oklahoma 37-0. Right now, it is 31. Frost audibling at the line of scrimmage. Sometimes they have trouble hearing him, but with a silent crowd, no trouble getting the call there. Evans down to the 23. Well, at the conclusion of today's game, we'll select the genuine Chevrolet Most Valuable Player of the Game from each team. To date, Chevrolet has awarded nearly $6 million to the scholarship funds of America's colleges and universities. 2:34 to play in the third quarter. The face of John Blake pretty much tells the story so far for Oklahoma. The one thing about Blake, though, he will not give up.
And he won't allow his players to give in either.
Play fake by Frost. Has room, but is dragged down and stays on his feet. Miraculously, eluding the grasp of number 40, Chris Justice, and Frost picks up 10 yards. Fogle and Petos finally bringing him down.
Scott Frost, very good athlete. And you get a sense of the strength in the legs of this young man. He takes Chris Justice for a real nice long ride there, right beyond the first down marker. See what Adam True does. Now here's when your quarterback's in trouble. Okay, hey, he gave him gave him a little turnstile shot there in the rear end, didn't he?
Tried to kick the turbo in. They give it to the fullback. That's Joel Makovica. He plows his way down to the 10-yard line.
I tell you what, Adam True could be a good little bullfighter, couldn't he? At 305 pounds, stepping out of the side of the running back.
No doubt. Frost, who after a shaky beginning for his offense, has settled down. Well, good job. It's 2nd down and 8. Frost with 13 yards rushing. Into the end zone. Incomplete, intended for Brendan Holbein. Holbein had a couple of touchdown catches last week. There he is, number 5. He's covered by Woods on the play. Holbein, the team's leading receiver. At only 5'9", the one thing that you have to note constantly about these Nebraska wideouts is that they're very good blockers.
They are, and they don't recruit wide receivers. Both starters, John Vedral and Brendan Holbein, are walk-on players who've done well here. I couldn't help noticing he has 37 career receptions coming into the game. That's number 36 all time. He's 2 behind Larry Frost, the halfback. That, of course, was Scott's father, who played here about 20 years ago. I wonder if Scott's not going to get the football team purposely.
Frost completes it and completes it for a touchdown. Number 25, Vedral. And the beat goes on for the Big Red from Lincoln.
I don't know what it is, but when Nebraska gets a turnover, they just make other teams pay for it, don't they? That's 3 touchdowns, 1 field goal today, all off of turnovers. And by and large, that's the story of this football game.
This will be one for John Blake to forget. Nebraska leading 37-0. Make that 38 with the extra point. One more look at the touchdown tots.
This is Vedral's first touchdown reception of the year. It's a blitz, man-to-man coverage. 45, Tyrell Peters comes in. Boy, what a nice catch by Vedral. That ball out in front of him, low and away, a difficult catch. He does an excellent job of bringing it in.
Let's go downstairs to Lewis Johnson.
Okay, Mark, thanks. Just a preliminary piece of advice or information regarding Steven Alexander, the Oklahoma tight end. News is not too good for him so far. Doctors are saying that they think his AC joint in the right shoulder is bad. They're examining the x-rays right now, and I'll have confirmation on that, or if it's a separated shoulder, probably in just a few minutes. Mark?
All right, Lewis, and I'm sure that you'll have it for us.
AC joint, acromioclavicular. You've got to have it a few times before you can pronounce it. And I have had a couple of those, and that is really painful, that separation. It's not been a good year for Steven Alexander. He had a concussion in preseason. He had cramps earlier this season. Now he has a separated shoulder. He's been one banged-up warrior.
And a look at what Nebraska has been doing on turnovers today. They have been opportunistic. Brown's kickoff comes down short of the 15. It's still loose. Finally picked up by Brandon Daniels.
Well, they have trouble fielding the kickoffs all day. I wonder if the sun is in their eyes from that angle, but it seems that the deep backs are not getting up and in position to field the kickoff.
Looks like they're kicking into the wind, Nebraska is. Maybe that's playing havoc with the kick returners for Oklahoma. It is rather puzzling, though.
The wind and the sun. That's an excuse every little leaguer uses, right?
That and the dog ate my homework. Fuente almost. Is he picked off?
Yep.
Yes, he is. Eric Warfield, number 3, with the interception. Fuente's last 2 passes have both been picked off.
And he's simply trying to get a pass play or a screen play thrown off to his fullback, I believe. Dwayne Chandler. See if we see it there. The fullback's number 32. In position. Now he fights off. Yeah, now there's the ball to him right there. It's thrown too hard over his head. And Warfield, who's a very dangerous punt blocker, comes up with yet another turnover, the 5th today, caused by the Blackshirts.
And actually, John, the last 3 of Fuente's passes have been picked off. Frost working again with a short field, wants some now. And it's incomplete. Intended for Shelton Jackson, number 88. Justin Fuente has thrown more interceptions than completions today.
Well, he's actually 50% if you look at it, but
of course it's easier when the guy
20% to his own team, 30% to the other.
It's easier when those other guys in the uniform the guys in the other uniforms are open.
Justin can't get discouraged. I mean, this game now is out of control, but he is a freshman. I have a feeling by the time he's a senior, these games are going to be a lot closer, maybe as soon as next year.
Here's D'Angelo Evans dancing down to the 10-yard line. He's about 3 yards short of the first down. 45 seconds to play now in the 3rd quarter. Dale Allen making the tackle.
And I think, you're looking at Fuente there. He's obviously disappointed in himself. But that's what this Nebraska defense does to you. I mean, it just makes you accelerate. Whether it's a quarterback draw that you're running or a pass that you're throwing, you just tend to do things a lot faster than you should within the normal rhythm and timing of your offense. That's the pressure that defense puts on you. And a lot of teams in the country are trying to copy this very defense.
A different Nebraska team since losing to Arizona State. Frost keeps it on the option. Is near the first down at the 7-yard line with 7 seconds to go in the 3rd quarter. White and Peters making the tackle that time. Nebraska perhaps looking ahead to that Big 12 showdown in a few weeks against Colorado. Back in the days of Switzer and Wilkinson, you didn't see that happen. Fans didn't leave early too often. Some have made their way to the exits.
This crowd came in pumped up today. They came in pumped up, excited, and it was a very good football game early, but the Nebraska defense just is starting to wear away and has completely worn away this offense now.
Backs out of the eye on 1st and goal for the Cornhuskers. Evans scooting, and touchdown Nebraska.
Don't think Nebraska's trying to rub it in now, ladies and gentlemen. That's the second offensive line in there. And they did an excellent job. And, you know, the players just keep coming and coming. And this is a second-team line that'll be blocking for this player for a long time. The true freshman, D'Angelo Evans, with yet another touchdown.
And just to underscore that point, you said it was a second-string offensive line. Evans is the third-string tailback. The extra point is good, and it's 45-0. Let's go back to John Saunders in New York.
Thanks, Marcus. Time for the Burger King update. Comes from the Minnesota-Ohio State game. The Buckeyes struggling, only up 10-0. Joe Germain then hits Matt Calhoun from 7 yards out, and Ohio State leads now 17-0. Back to you.
Boy, poor Jim Wacker, you know, he needs 6 wins. He's at 4. He's been stuck there for a while. The head coach of Minnesota, that was the mandate he was given earlier this year.
I think they started off winning their first 2 games.
Yeah, they were doing real well, but second half possessions here for Nebraska. Interception, a fumble gave Oklahoma some life, but the 3 touchdowns off of turnovers.
Conversely, Oklahoma's second half possessions. Look at that, an interception. And then 2 in a row after a couple of missed field goals.
I think that would have helped their team too. Points on the board just helps so much. When you turn things around, get an opportunity. Here's the athletic dorm, the Bud Wilkinson house. When you have that opportunity, you don't put points up. It just has a real deflating effect on your team.
It is 45-0 with 3 seconds to go now in the third quarter. Brown with the kickoff. Daniels and Jackson back deep. This is Daniels. And he is smoked. Back inside the 20. Well, you can hear that shot all the way back in Lincoln, and we'll return with action between Nebraska and Oklahoma after this message and a word from our ABC stations. All right, John, back here. Oklahoma with the ball. James Allen on the rush. Gains about 3 yards. Well, a lot of action going on. Let's go back to this rugby game going on across the way here. See the hooker in the scrum.
There's the scrum. They get it. Now, here's the smart guys. See right there. They stay out of it. That way you don't lose an ear or your tooth.
Ball comes out. Interestingly enough, the guy who pulls it out there, that's the scrum half. Back to the action. James Allen could have used a scrum or a scrum half or a 3/4. Brent Wistrom making the tackle.
Wistrom signaling to the Nebraska faithful here, made the trip here to Norman, Oklahoma. Wistrom playing this football game like it's still the first quarter and the first play of the game, showing the intensity of that young man.
There's a look at that rugby field just to the right of Memorial Stadium.
That's way over here where that action's taking place, and we'll be keeping you updates. We'll get John Saunders.
Backside pressure. Ooh, and he fumbles it. Fuente lost it after the hit, but Oklahoma got it back. And we have just received word that Steven Alexander has a separated AC joint. And Fuente almost had a separated something after that vicious hit.
Yeah, and Eric Moore was walking around with that bad ankle of his. I don't know if you can get an Oklahoma quarterback to answer the bell on the next offensive series.
The Nebraska defense just doesn't beat you. They beat you up sometimes.
Yeah, they do. And as I said, they wear you down mentally, too, and emotionally. I mean, because you have so little success against them.
Lewis's punt comes down at midfield and takes a good bounce for Oklahoma. Williams is brought down at the 35-yard line. A 51-yard punt, -1 on the return. It is all Nebraska when we come back. Look at the top 25 action today in college football. Ohio State leading in their battle against Minnesota. Although the margin so far isn't what people thought it would be.
Look at Colorado losing in their football game today. That's a surprise. Certainly has implications in the Big 12.
And Colorado and Nebraska both at 4-0 coming into this afternoon's action. And storming back in their game against Temple. 12:55 to play in the fourth quarter. Evans gaining about 3. Let's go back to New York and John Saunders.
Mark, Minnesota quarterback Corey Sauter goes back to pass, and the freshman Andy Katzenmoyer steps in front and goes 42 yards for the touchdown. The first time since 1975 that number 45 has scored a touchdown for the Buckeyes. Of course, they retired Archie Griffin's number after that season. Missouri and Colorado, you mentioned it, Missouri's up by 3. Mark.
There's a lot of flack about Katzenmoyer getting that number 45 too, but then people saw that true freshman play, and they changed their minds pretty quickly.
Yep. He's got some skills.
You know, I did a high school football game, the Big 33 game. Ohio plays Pennsylvania, best football players in high school, Katzenmoyer. And I remember talking to Todd Blackledge and others about him, and they're saying he could step right in and start as a freshman. And sure enough, not only has he started, he may very well be the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year.
It's interesting when you look at Ohio State and the Big Ten, they have a matchup coming up against Michigan, a game you'll see on ABC at the end of the month. Bill Young telling us that that was one of the worst coaching jobs that they had done all year when they lost to Michigan last year. Young, of course, was the defensive coordinator for the Buckeyes a year ago. On the freeze option, Frost putting some ice on this one. Jackson, touchdown. A 51-yard strike to Jeff Blake and another Cornhusker touchdown.
Well, everybody's taking turns today. Look at that, escaping the bump and run. Jeff Blake does an excellent job of beating that bump and run coverage by Cedric Stevens. And with the one-on-one coverage, boy, he just races down the field. That's a real nice move by that wide receiver. And you know they get in a lot of opportunities to face bump and run because that's what their defense does.
Ted Retzlaff in for Brown with the extra point. Frost putting the deep freeze on the Sooners today. Hey, Northwestern has had a real Cinderella season. They take on Penn State next, or Washington, USC, Maryland, Clemson, or Baylor at Texas. Call your cable operator for the games available in your area. Chris Brown in to kick off for Nebraska. And there's a look at Scott Frost, who just threw that touchdown pass.
What's up, Dad? What's up, Mom?
The longest pass of the season for a touchdown. 2 yards deep, that's Daniels. And Brandon Daniels is brought down to the 14-yard line. This Nebraska team not letting up. Under 12 minutes to play in the game.
Well, you know, one of the reasons why is there's a lot of players getting an opportunity to play. And this is what makes this program so good, Mark. You know, with Tom Osborne, they get the 85 scholarship players. They also have about 30 walk-ons this year. There's 3 guys starting on offense for this team. John Vedral, Brandon Holbein, and Adam True, who are all walk-on players. So you got 3 of your 11 starters on offense. And Jared Tomich is a walk-on player on defense. So, you know, not only do you get the scholarship players, but you get a lot of talent to pull from the walk-on program. And that's been a staple of this program and its success over the years.
A good point. Parker out to the 17-yard line. Scott Saltzman making the tackle. It's got to be a disappointing afternoon for the Oklahoma Sooners coaching staff and players. So much pressure on the coaching staff and the players. And John Blake talked about some of that with us earlier. And it's something that he's very much aware of. 2nd down and 7. Fuente. Is it complete?
It is.
Well, not the way that they drew it up, but they'll take it anyway for the Sooner first down. Michael McDaniel made the catch.
And here's a guy I was hoping they would get the football today to, but that's his first reception of the day. It comes well into the 4th quarter and off a tip pass.
There's the tip by Chandler. Well, we'll take it out to the 25-yard line. First down and 10 for Oklahoma.
You think a 53-point comeback could be based on that play right there, Mark?
I don't know if there's a 53-point play in the playbook. Here's Parker. Still on his feet. No quit in this Oklahoma team. Symbolic of their head coach, John Blake, who talked about some of the pressures today.
I know so many of those kids in this university right now, the pressure of playing college football, the pressure of being the best, the group, the social pressure from your friends that you're better than they are, and you got to do your job. It's unbelievable because they can't even handle just their personal life, just their inner self of just growing up in this world. So that's the way I motivate, because I know if I can take care of the inner piece, then I'll be all right on the football field.
You know, some interesting parallels there, excuse me, Mark, to that approach and what Gary Barnett was talking about at halftime, being a father to these kids. I mean, that's what John Blake is set up to do. If you're a father or a mother and you want to send your football or your son to school, you want him to grow to be a man. You want him to get a college education. You want somebody to look after their needs. And that, you know, that's what John Blake does. You can make that handoff to him as a head coach, and Gary Barnett and so many of the fine coaches, certainly Tom Osborne as well. So many fine coaches around the country.
A good point, Johnny. Don't think for a minute that people around the country want to roll John Blair. Jackson on the reverse. Ooh, did he take a beating? Jackson sacked back at the 25-yard line by Scott Saltzman. You should deserve hazard pay for taking a beating like that. Jackson coming out. A loss of 10 on the play. But back to John Blake for a moment. Don't think for a second that other coaches around this conference and around the country are unaware of his recruiting skills, because it won't be long before John Blake, folks, gets some very, very good talent here in Norman. Don't sleep on it.
He's working those phones every chance he gets.
3rd and 20, incomplete, intended for McDaniel. And it'll be 4th down for the Sooners.
You know, I saw practice the other day. Eric Moore threw a pass, and it wasn't a very nice pass. And Dick Winder, the offensive coordinator, looked up and said, did you pass that or punt it? He said, I punted it, sir. And, you know, that pass from Fuente is kind of the same thing there. It really didn't come out all that well or look all that pretty, but McDaniel should have caught it because it was where it had to be caught.
Brian Lewis with his 10th punt now of the afternoon. Unbelievable. This one down to the 33. Lance Brown, who caught a touchdown pass not too long ago, returns at 6 yards after the 40-yard punt. We'll be right back. Look at the campus here in Norman, Oklahoma on a sunny, cool November afternoon. Matt Turman now in at quarterback for Scott Frost. Turman, the former walk-on, hands it off to his fullback. 52-0, Nebraska leading Oklahoma. And back in the days of Barry Switzer, when he coached here at Oklahoma, wouldn't see those kinds of scores on the board. Switzer, of course, now the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. A lot of exciting things happening here surrounding the football program, though. Facilities, procurement of talent, the future. Turman completes the pass to Kenny Cheatham. Let's go downstairs to Lewis Johnson for more.
Mark, just to further add to that, the Sarkay Foundation here in Oklahoma has donated $700,000 to this $5.5 million project. Now, they want Barry Switzer's name on the building. It will be right here in the east end zone where I am standing at the moment. It will be a strength and conditioning center, also a medical training center for all of the athletes and students, something they're going to need to help bring this program back up. Mark?
All right, Lewis, and a look at some of the insides of the proposed building. A fumble by Evans. Oklahoma has it. Number 93, Martin Chase, has the ball. And Oklahoma will have possession at Nebraska's 34. That's Evans' second mishandle of the day.
Yeah, that's got to be a little bit disturbing. Turman, the quarterback in the football game, Scott Frost is finished for the day. And that ball again, you know, before Evans fumbled when he stumbled, it looked like he was just stripped out of there, and Chase tries to make Chase into the end zone. He's a pretty active player today. He had a good first quarter back when the Oklahoma defense was playing real well. Chase was very active along with his other friends in the defensive front.
John, 8 turnovers today combined. 3 for Nebraska, 5 from Oklahoma. Damon Parker is not going to turn that over, though. Touchdown Sooners.
And that's the first rushing touchdown against Nebraska, going all the way back to their opener against Michigan State.
And finally, this sellout crowd, it started as a sellout crowd, has something to cheer about.
Second teamers in for Oklahoma's offensive line as well. Did a nice job getting the football up the field by Damon Parker. That's only the second rushing touchdown all year that Nebraska has given up.
The extra point out of the hole to Brian Lewis. Jeremy Alexander is good. Damon Parker with an education and acceleration. Oklahoma gets on the board.
Ball is seated a little bit low for D'Angelo Evans. See how it's under his left arm and then it slips out. Recovered by Martin Chase, and then Damon Parker scores on a 33-yard touchdown run to get Oklahoma at least on the board in this football game. Number 33 for 33.
And that's the longest run, John, interestingly enough, allowed this season against Nebraska's defense. I bet some of the second teamers are hearing it from the first teamers. Another fumble by Williams.
You know, there it is. There's that wind-sun thing we're talking about. It's an earlier kickoff today, and I think that Nebraska hasn't fielded many kickoffs in this game, but that's where they're having problems with that wind and sun.
One more look at that run by Damon Parker.
Now, if you see some of these numbers for Nebraska, there's not a lot of familiar people. Farrell and Winstrom and Tomic, those people are not in there right now.
And finally, we get to see the Boomer Schooner today. The Sooner Schooner. You'd rather see him sooner than later, I guess, huh? 7.5 to play in the fourth quarter. Turman keeps it on the option. Lots of action in the Big 12, and John Saunders, tell us what you know.
Well, elsewhere in the Big 12, Missouri against Colorado. Coy Detmer, the concussion last week, but he's in there again this week against Missouri. 69 yards, he airs it out. Ray Caruth takes it in from about the 27 for the touchdown as Colorado is on the board and now leads Missouri 7-3. Mark.
John, isn't it interesting how Detmer always seems to be scrambling like a sandlot quarterback when he makes those plays?
Yeah, he really has trouble. Not trouble, he just sets his feet and moves around. He's a hyper guy. I like the little Babe Ruth move there. He points first and then throws the touchdown pass. That's pretty neat.
Just look at that score. 7-3 Colorado leading Missouri. Of course, Colorado trying to keep pace with Nebraska for the lead in the Big 12's North Division. 6:40 to play in the fourth quarter. You're looking at Matt Turman in relief of Scott Frost at quarterback. Full house backfield. Sims in motion. Nebraska now emptying its bench out. That's number 31, Jay Sims running it. And a flag down on the far side of the field at the 36.
You know, Matt Turman, the quarterback, taking over for Scott Frost there.
Is he signing autographs?
Some autographs here. Look at that. It's right next to his picture.
Well, I guess with the score of 52-7,
Offside.
can do that.
On the defense. 5 yards. 1st and 5.
There's a young man shaking his hand. He made his day, didn't it?
There's a lot of Nebraska fans that make the trip down, as they usually do, about 5,000 of them. And all 5,000 of them always seem to end up in our hotel, waking up early and singing that fight song at 7:30 a.m.
They're wonderful people, and they love their football team. As well they should.
It's funny you weren't saying that when you were trying to get some sleep.
Oh, well, a couple of weeks ago, I got a good night's sleep.
The ball at the 48 now, complete to number 89, Lake, who caught a touchdown pass a few moments ago.
You know, it's good to see Turman in there getting some action. Here's a player who's only started one game in his entire career. too. You see 6 for 14 in the first half across, 4 for 8. Really came on with 3 touchdowns in the second half. Thurman started one game, it was against Kansas State a couple of years ago, and that's when Tommy Frazier had that blood clot. Brooke Behringer had a problem with his lung and did not play in that game. And that was Thurman's only start. They won that game. That was when Chad May was the quarterback for Kansas State. Did a nice job of running the offense. It was a pretty closely contested game, but they won that football game.
There again, an example of Nebraska's depth. That was Sims on the run that time, out to midfield, tackled by Chris Justice. With 5:33 to play now in the fourth quarter. So Nebraska will improve to 5-0 in conference play, 7-1 overall. Thurman pitches on the option to Jay Sims. Sims says, see ya, and I wouldn't want to be it, but he's down at the 1-yard line. Mike Woods with a touchdown-saving tackle. A 49-yard bolt by Jay Sims. And Jay Sims is the 5th string, make that 4th string tailback. Showing a good burst of speed that time.
Well, Thurman certainly as a senior knows how to run this offense out of the power I. This is one of Nebraska's favorite formations. Gets his fullback out in front, gets rid of the football quickly to Sims. 4th string, you said?
Yep, and his first touchdown.
It looked like he lost the football when he went over, though.
They gave it to him. Jay Sims tacks on 1 more yard to his total. And ironically, John, he's rushed 4 times now in a short time on the field for a total of 60 yards. He's the game's leading rusher.
Is he really?
Yeah. Roger Riley, our crack stat man.
Better late than never, I guess.
With 5:03 to play in the fourth quarter. Nebraska and Jay Sims with another touchdown. Ted Retzlaff in for the extra point. The lefty knocks it through. And the Cornhuskers with a commanding 59-7 lead. One more look at the airborne Jay Sims, up and over for another Cornhusker touchdown.
Look where the football is.
An exciting yet maybe underrated conference, the WAC.
Oh boy.
Offensive football at its best. And don't forget that you can see the WAC championship game on ABC December the 7th.
I'll tell you what, there'll be a big showdown there first between BYU and Utah, though. They're both playing very good football, ranked in the second 10 in the country. You know, that touchdown by Jay Sims, he went up and over, and watch number 31 as he comes right at you. Football's up in the air. Now, just as he gets up in the air, it gets knocked out, but he had broken the plane. But hold it right there. Stop. Look at the football just sitting there on top of everybody. And watch how long it takes for anybody to react and jump in there and try and get the football. Everybody else is down on the ground looking down.
And Sims is already headed to the bench. Fuente to pass. Completes it for the first down to Jason Freeman, the backup tight end, who's in for Steven Alexander, who has an injured AC joint in his shoulder.
You know, you saw that touchdown. When you think about Nebraska, they're 300 yards a game rushing. You think time-consuming, ball-control drives. But amazingly enough, up before today, half of their drives, 21 of 42, have been 5 plays or less. That's pretty quick strike. And today, 5 of the 7 offensive touchdowns they scored have been 5 plays or less. That's pretty impressive.
That's interesting. People used to say that Nebraska wasn't a good comeback type of team, and here is Damon Parker. Regardless of the score, the freshman giving it his all. Tack on 24 yards to his rushing total for the day. Damon Parker out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, the former high school sprinter, displaying his speed here, John.
Yes, he is. And he's a guy that played a lot early in the year, did real well. James Allen came on, and Damon Parker's been relegated to less of a role in this offense. But everybody getting an idea of the kind of skill he possesses. And I think, you know, it's such a long season for these freshmen. I think sometimes they just lose a lot of the energy they need to have to maintain the year.
And Mo Little comes up with a reception for Oklahoma, a pickup of 27 on that play with 4.5 minutes to play.
Yeah, bump and run coverage, man to man. Mo Little doing a good job working on Jerome Peterson, number 26. And a good job of reversing around with the hips and catching that football thrown over the outside. A difficult catch for Mo Little.
First down and 10 with 4:20 to play. That's Damon Parker getting to the corner. Parker with his second touchdown of the afternoon. Damon Parker, 17 yards to pay dirt. Damon Parker putting his impression and signature on this game, albeit a little bit late, with a total of 98 yards rushing now.
Well, I think some of these first teamers are going to get after their second teamers and third teamers on this Nebraska defense, because this is a team. The Nebraska defense has only given up 100 yards twice this year. Arizona State, Texas Tech. And now Damon Parker, you see at 98 yards. So Oklahoma goes over the century mark. But this has all occurred in the fourth quarter. This game well out of reach.
Yeah, the first stringers and the black shirts in Nebraska probably done the second. Guys are killing the numbers, killing our stats.
And actually 136 yards rushing today. So that's the most yards by any team rushing against Nebraska this year.
Well, tomorrow 2 Eastern, 1 Central and Pacific. Current world champions Michelle Kwan and Todd Eldridge skate in the first major international competition of the season. Thrifty Car Rental Skate America International. 4 Eastern, 3 Central and Pacific. 10 PGA stars play 9 holes of golf in a unique shot-making showdown. The Merrill Lynch Shootout. That's tomorrow here on ABC Sports. And the Schooner active again.
Well, there's some low clearance there. I wasn't sure if they were going to be able to clear that thing.
Take that bad boy to the airport. Back for the kickoff. The New Zealand black shirts against, or is it the South Africa black shirts, or is it the Sooners against the, I'm not sure what it is.
There's the lateral link.
You talk about a game based on the option. It's all pitch in this one, huh?
Look at this. Oh, how do they do that? There's no, they don't wear equipment, and they're all knocking into one another like that. This thing, this is, oh, and he kicks the ball. It's like, the only thing you need here is Mo, Larry, and some cheese, don't you? Look at that now, you got to be kidding.
Here's the onside kick. And it's fielded by a member of the hands team for Nebraska, so they retain possession with 4:08 to play. That was Brian Shaw. (59-14) with 4:08 to play now in the fourth quarter. The one thing that, if I'm Nebraska, I'm a little bit concerned about is Amon Green and his turf toe injury. Green not having to play much this afternoon, but at some juncture during this season, they'll need him.
That's a good point. I think, they have some games here coming up that are not all that difficult for them in their schedule.
They have Missouri next week, and they're at Iowa State. And then a game you'll see on ABC. They have a bye week on the 23rd. Then they play Colorado on the 29th. Interestingly enough, you look at the 16th at Iowa State. The last time they lost a conference game was against the Cyclones 27 games ago. Meanwhile, the Sooners take on Oklahoma State next week on the road, and then on the road again at College Station before returning home to take on Texas Tech.
Now they'll be 2-3 in the conference after this game, but Oklahoma has a chance in all those 3 games coming up. It still has a chance at winning the South Division, believe it or not, in the Big 12.
Tom Osborne, the architect, of the Nebraska program, extremely successful during his tenure. First down and 5, 38-yard line for Nebraska. This is Jay Sims. Sims with the first down. Wow, Sims getting his share of the numbers. Down to the 23-yard line. A 16-yard pickup.
Well, he's showing some real speed and some good footwork, isn't he? For a fourth-string I-back, you've got to be kidding.
They just keep coming at you. And here's a look at Nebraska's schedule next year, starting off with what some people might call a couple of cream puffs.
Well, that non-conference schedule, yeah, Akron, Central Florida was a late addition. They had to fill that position there. And then Washington into the Big 12 Conference, but I got a feeling they might win those first 2 games next year.
Nice to see you go out on the limb. Let's go downstairs to Lewis Johnson.
Okay, Mark, thanks. You know, Nebraska defensive tackle Jason Peters will not only be happy about the win, he'll also be happy to get the cast off his right broken hand. Now, this is the one he wears during the week. 2 fingers exposed there. But during the game, because he can't grab properly, he has the 2 right fingers here, the 2 left fingers taped down. He says that absolutely drives him nuts. So when the game is over, they'll cut the cast off that you see right there on his right hand, and he'll get the regular cast back on. Mark, want a count?
No, thank you. I like my bones together in one place. Thank you very much, Lewis. The pass incomplete. Have our 3rd-string quarterback in now for Nebraska.
And, you know, Peter made the first hit today, if you recall. Look at that thing. He's got like a big Q-tip there on his right hand, doesn't he?
That's a club. What are you talking about? I use that thing to lock my car up.
Oh, he's got the tattoo up there.
Peter, actually, if I put him in the car, I won't get it stolen.
No. They say things like, Mr. Peter, can I fill it up for you? And check your oil, sir? That kind of thing.
Jeff Perino in a quarterback now for the Cornhuskers. They snap it to the tailback, a play they like to use, and Sims is going to get his 2nd touchdown. 22 yards for the score.
Well, you know, there may be some Sooner fans who are going to accuse Tom Osborne of running the score up, but, you know, when you have your 4th-string tailback in there and you're running your offense, you know, you can't tell these guys not to play hard and not do the things they're supposed to do.
I agree with you.
And you talked about the play they like to do. That's you know, a direct snap. That's your 3rd-string quarterback in there, Jeff Perino. This is your 4th-string tailback. It's a traveling squad roster, so it's scaled down somewhat than what they'd have at home, but you know, these kids are playing hard and give them credit. That's what they're taught to do.
And the 2nd-string place kicker in for the extra point, Ted Retzlaff. And Jay Sims could hit the century mark before this one is over with 2:30 to play.
Well, it's like a horse race with a couple of horses coming late down the stretch and winning the rushing title. Damon Parker comes in. He's a late entry. And Jay Sims is a late entry.
Tom Osborne's team with the most points ever scored against Oklahoma. 66, and the meter is still running. 2.5 to play in the ball game. Tom Osborne never really seems to change much.
There's the cast.
I wonder if he signed it.
Yeah, he looks like a hoagie, doesn't he, in his hand?
Yeah, speaking of hoagies, you know, the Peter family runs a very successful restaurant back in New Jersey called Fromagerie, where his brother Christian is presently helping out their father run the business. Christian Peter, of course, played for the Cornhuskers a year ago.
Well, you know, Mark, with your insatiable appetite, it sounds to me like you're setting yourself up for a free meal right now.
Hey, if we make that flight, I'm right there, baby.
Well, look at that.
James Sims, championship looking due as well. Retzlaff ready to kick off. It has been all Nebraska since the 2nd quarter on. Boy, you know, Retzlaff has a pretty strong and accurate leg, and I've never seen John Saunders kick, but I hear he's not too bad. Is that true, John?
Would have been in the front row, Mark, without question. Colorado against Missouri. Corby Jones, 13 yards on this run. Gives the Tigers a 10-7 lead over Colorado. We'll keep you up to date, and we'll kick it back to you, Mark.
It's up and good. Thank you, John.
You know, Colorado may be guilty of doing a little schedule watching, too. They have the 2 big games at the end of the year, Kansas State, and then, of course, Nebraska in the final game. And after their tough win against Texas last week, they may be suffering from a bit of a letdown.
Boy, I like Damon Parker. Nice spin move to get away from one would-be tackler. Broke a couple more tackles.
You know, you got
Gets
an
it first.
example right there of John Blake and the influence he has on this team. They have not given up. He battles for a first down, even though this game is well out of reach.
And there's a look at Blake. Time permitting, folks, stay tuned for the Thrifty Car Rental post-game report, featuring scores and highlights from across the country, with 2:20 remaining now in the fourth quarter of play. John Blake does say that this team will be, to quote the coach, Mo better. And pretty soon, they've actually coined it as one of their credos and catchphrases. Parker, with the carry over the 35, brought down to the 36. Folks, don't forget next Saturday at 3:30 Eastern Time, regional action on ABC. Northwestern against Iowa, Air Force Army, Washington State, UCLA, Clemson at Virginia, and A&M takes on Baylor. And of course, our crew will be doing that Washington State UCLA game out in Pasadena. So don't forget to, if you want to get that game, call your cable operator and find out which ones are available in your area. Fuente is brought down at the 34-yard line. These quarterbacks for the Sooners deserve hazard pay today. Meanwhile, Frost looks unscathed. That eye black is a little self-imposed dressing, I guess. Damon Parker at the century mark rushing. Doing it all late in the fourth quarter. 3rd down and 8 now for Oklahoma. Less than a minute to go. Fuente up top. Incomplete, intended for Mo Little, in a late flag. That'll be pass interference, no doubt, against Nebraska. Jerome Peterson, this backup cornerback.
Pass interference on the defense, 15 yards, automatic first down.
Tom Allers with the call. Look at Mo Little. Sooners trying to get Mo better. 51 ticks to go.
You know, you're doing that, talking about the games next week. That Army Air Force game should be interesting. You got the top 2 rushing offenses in the country. Army at 372 yards a game and Air Force at 352. I bet that's like an hour and 15-minute game.
Easily. They love the option. Here's Damon Parker. Touchdown Sooners. No quit in number 33. 50 yards. They are usually a second-half team, although the comeback now coming a little bit too late. But Damon Parker putting up some impressive numbers late in the game.
And you get an idea of the kind of speed he has as a true freshman down the sidelines. Look at him just kick it into another gear and escape the would-be tacklers. He goes into the end zone. Damon Parker being able to brag that he's not rushed any team this year against Nebraska. It's by himself.
Be a nice trivia answer. One more look at Parker on the counter. A gaping hole there for him. And John, you can bet that he's glad that the weather has become very cool here in this area of late, because he suffers from allergies, hay fever, asthma. But he wasn't waiting to exhale at all that time, having no problems.
And there's John Blake. Patting his young man on the back, saying, I got you for 3 more years. I like the Sooners scooter. You know, the people,
they're a little slow today.
The people here, they weigh more than the ponies, for crying out loud. No wonder it takes a while for those things to get some giddy up. Come on, let's go, let's go. There you go.
They might need to feed those ponies a little bit.
Now watch the clears here. Here's the problem I have. Get down. Yeah, see the guy duck? Whoa.
Low bridge.
Ooh.
Well, cigar they are not, of course. Meanwhile, Damon Parker, 150 yards rushing. Jeremy Alexander set to kick off. Cheatham and Evans back deep for Nebraska. Kenny Cheatham. People, don't blink. Please don't blink. Kenny Cheatham, touchdown, Nebraska. The carnage continues. Ring up 85 yards on your register.
You know, Cheatham's a guy I really like as a receiver. He's tall in stature, 6'4", 210 pounds, just a sophomore. And he's the kind of guy, I think, in the normal scheme of things and what they do offensively, you need to see them try and get the football to him more often. But he certainly shows you what his skills are as a kickoff returner. There's a flag in the end zone, but we'll take a look at the replay.
It'll probably be for celebration.
I believe so, but Cheatham shows you the speed and strength that he has and the power for a wide receiver. And keep in mind, most of the receivers here are walk-on players.
Kenny Cheatham into the end zone. We like the way you do it.
No, don't take that helmet. No, you can't do that.
I think he was trying to run off the field, but he got stopped
see, now he realized, I can't do that. It's a celebration rule.
Unsportsmanlike conduct on Nebraska. 15 yards, which would be administered on the kickoff.
Okay, he's saying I took the helmet off too soon. I had the touchdown part right.
And when the coach comes over to tell him not to do it, he'll get remorseful all of a sudden.
Yes. Oh yeah. That's kind of like when you get caught chewing gum by the teacher. You spit it and then you put it back in.
Extra point is good.
It's good.
And Nebraska leads 73-21. Let's check in with John Todd. High scoring, yeah, but most of the scoring done by Nebraska. 73 points. 28 seconds to play, and the clock starts. That's Daniels. Out of bounds to stop the clock. And there's our ride to the airport. John, I think there's 4 seats on there, and there's what, 5 of us?
Make sure you have my snacks ready, guys, when I get down there. You know, you talked about that Baylor-Texas game coming up. I had mentioned earlier that the 4 Texas players were going to be suspended for the game, but they are going to play now. They have been released. They've been able to work all that out over the lunch they had. Mike Adams, Bryant Westbrook, Chris Carter, and Trey Thomas. So Texas could have been in big trouble going into that game, losing 4 of the key players on that football team.
All over lunch, huh?
All over lunch, and who paid for it, and however all that stuff.
So the next time someone says, let's do lunch, be aware. That's the moral of that story. And the name of this tune, Huskers 73, Oklahoma 21. The genuine Chevrolet most valuable players of the game are Scott Frost from Nebraska and Damon Parker from Oklahoma. Chevrolet will donate $1,000 to each school's general scholarship fund to reward outstanding students for their academic achievements and to assist those in financial need. It's been a Chevrolet tradition for more than a quarter of a century. The final score, 73-21. Nebraska over Oklahoma, their 6th straight victory.